right, y'all, let's get this party started. If YouTube will cooperate.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And a very, very big hello to Wisconsin. It's great to be back. You know, before I start, they say that Wisconsin is probably the toughest of the swing states to win. I don't think so at all. I don't think so. We have got the biggest crowds. They've never seen crowds like this. This is unbelievable, actually. You know, I could be anywhere right now. I could be beautiful beaches. I could be all over the world, and I'd rather be right here. What's more beautiful? We are going to win the greatest election in history. And it's incredible to be back in this beautiful state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are just 30 days from now. We're going to win the state of Wisconsin. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris. And we are going to make America great again. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, and quickly. We're going to do it quickly. And when we win, it will be considered the greatest political victory in American history. You know that, right? I saw that. You know, I saw that. I've never really said it that way. I've said it a lot of different ways, but not that way. And I saw one of these Democrat, I guess congressmen in this case. He said, you know, if he does this, because we're leading in all the polls, we're leading everywhere. Leading in Wisconsin, too, by the way, which is very important. You see, because this is the ultimate poll. When you get this many people, this is the ultimate poll. But, you know, they had this Congress, and he said, you know, if he does this, it's going to be like the greatest political win in the history of our country. And I said, wow, that's great. I love that. We love that, Troy, don't we? So it will be incredible. And I think we're going to have something that's going to be amazing. The world is going to be watching, and we're 30 days away, 30 days away. So you have to get it. But, you know, we had an incredible evening last night in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was a beautiful evening. It was a very different kind of an evening. It was a tribute to a very brave firefighter, you know, Corey. He was a real trumper. Corey was a trumper. He was a MAGA guy. He was an America First guy. He had the whole deal going with the outfits, the hats. He had everything. He was great, and his whole family is great. But he really, look at it the way I look at it, he sacrificed his life in an attack 12 weeks ago. And you have to look at what happened last night. We had over 100,000 people show up in beautiful little Butler. It's little Butler. But beautiful Butler, Pennsylvania. We had a crowd, and you know, this is a hell of a crowd too, I have to tell you. It's happening all over. But we had 100,000 people And there was love, and I had a fantastic Christopher. I had a great opera singer, and he went up and he sang Ave Maria. You saw that. We had a short moment of silence, and then the bells rang, and they said, "Where do we get bells?" I said, "Why don't we just take them off the Cathedral of Notre Dame?" He said, "Those are good bells, and you actually have tapes." So we said, "Let's use them. Maybe nobody's going to find out." We had these magnificent bells ring. And then Christopher got up, one of the best opera singers I've ever heard. And he got up and sang Ave Maria during this moment of silence. It was an unbelievable evening. And we have something to show you the kind of crowd we had last night. It was really something special. So let's put it up if we can. The wrong picture. That was unbelievable. They used the wrong picture. It's the same picture, but they have the two side things. It's so stupid. But that's what we have that every once in a while, right? We have that. That seldom happens, but you got the gist of it. It was an unbelievable crowd, so unbelievable, and there was a lot of love in the room, and it was really an honor of somebody. So that was a different kind of an evening. I'll tell you, that was an evening to celebrate somebody who had died, and this is an evening a day to celebrate just really greatness, because we're gonna have something so special happen. We've never seen anything like it. You can go around any place in the country now, and you have signs all over the place, Trump and Trump. And by the way, how good did J.D. Vance do the other night? That was a good pick. That was a good pick. That was a very good pick. But from the very beginning of this journey, I've been on a mission to rescue our nation from a failed and corrupt political establishment and corrupt people, frankly. They are the most corrupt people. That's the most corrupt group I've ever seen, ever. Nobody's ever seen a group like that. And to give you back the country you believe in, the country that you were born in, and the country that you deserve. And in that mission, I will never quit. I will never bend. I will never break. And I will never yield. I'm like these guys over here from Texas. And like I really believe all of us, we say, not even in the face of death itself, I will not. This is so important what we're doing. We're saving our country. This country is in big trouble. We're a failing nation. We are a failing nation. We're a nation in decline. We're a nation in distress. And we're going to get it fixed very quickly. But you know what? If we have to go with another 4 years of these people, and she's worse. And she's worse than Biden, in my opinion. First of all, I think Biden is actually far more intelligent, if you can believe that. Can you believe? I think he's more intelligent than she is. Ay, ay, ay. But I'm putting everything on the line to fight for you, and we're going to fight for you, and we're all going to win together. It's going to be the greatest win in the history of our country. I believe that. I believe it. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm only asking you to do one thing. We don't even need your money. Keep your money. Just go out and vote. Get everybody involved. Go and get them involved. Kamala Harris, I tell people, I say, you can't use the name Harris. Nobody knows who the hell she is. You say Harris. If you say Harris, they say, who's Harris? I don't know what it is. The name doesn't catch on. So we'll use the word Kamala. But Kamala is a disastrous, radical, and grossly incompetent vice president who has betrayed our country and the people she swore an oath deserve. She was our border czar. And you know what? She doesn't want to call that. So let's not call her that. She was in charge of the border, okay? It's the worst border in the history of the world. They announced last week that 13,099 murderers were released during their term. They then tried to say, well, it wasn't really good. And somebody released it, and we don't know who, but it was a patriot that released it because she got up and tried to say that when she's in, she's going to do this, she's going to do that. Why the hell didn't she do it 4 years ago, right? But she threw open our border, destroyed the middle class, and now as our citizens are suffering from catastrophic hurricane, I mean, this hurricane has been a bad one. Kamala Harris has left them stranded. This is the worst response to a storm or a catastrophe or a hurricane that we've ever seen, ever. Probably worse than Katrina, and that's hard to beat, right? Worse than Katrina. They didn't do too good a job either, but this is worse. And she sends their money to foreign nations. He and she, they send hundreds of billions of dollars. They send hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign nations. And you know what they're giving our people? $750. 700. Here, Tyson. This is the worst response, I think. Troy, what do you think? The worst? Never saw one like this. This guy, Troy, is good, but I'm going to bring him up. This guy got a brother who might be better. I don't know. He might be. He's damn good. I'll tell you what a group we have up here. The Patriots, you know, the patriotism, all we want to do is take our country back and fix it. We want to fix our country. Right? That's all we want to do. Is that asking so much? Time and time again, Kamala has proven that she cannot be trusted and she can't do the job. First of all, she's grossly incompetent. I don't care. She doesn't do interviews. They said, why doesn't she do? Because she is incompetent. She can't answer the question. She can't answer anything. And I don't know, you know, they want to do 60 Minutes. Remember, I had it out with them last time because they had the laptop from hell and they said it was from Russia. I said, no, it was from Hunter. I turned out to be right. Remember Leslie Stahl? She's another real heavyweight. Leslie Stahl, we got into like an argument on 60 Minutes, and I turned out to be right. But to the best of my knowledge, I have not received an apology. That was a big deal at the time. She said, how dare you? You shouldn't say that. This was from Russia. I said, it wasn't from Russia. It was from Hunter. Ah, it's terrible. So we're waiting for an apology. They want to do it again. I'll do it again, but they got to. Don't you think I should make them apologize? If you want a president who inundates your towns with illegal alien criminals, and by the way, every town and every little city and every big city, frankly, are petrified. Even if they haven't arrived yet, they will be, because you're talking about 21 million people at least just during this 3.5-year period. If you want someone who steals your wealth and abandons your family when the flood's waters rise, those flood waters rise and they were gone. They haven't seen anybody from the federal government yet. The federal government isn't there. And by the way, how good a guy is Elon Musk? Right? You saw him last. How good. I mean, that guy, I didn't know anything about it. I get a call from a really good person in North Carolina. They said, the people, there's no communication. They said, do you know a man named Elon Musk? I said, yeah, I do, actually. He endorsed me very strongly, and we love him. He's a smart cookie, a little different, too. He's a little different. But he is one smart cook. He sends the rocket ships up. First time I ever saw the engines coming down. I said, what was that? Well, would like to be able to save the engines. It makes a lot of sense, but I never saw anything like that. This guy's unbelievable. So what happens is, he was there last night, by the way. He got the biggest hand you've ever seen. People love him. But they said, do you know Elon Musk? So he didn't know. And I said, yeah, I do. Why? What do you need? And he said, they have something called Starlink. Starlink. He said, we have no communication in North Carolina. People are dying. Like 500 people are missing. It's a disaster. The federal government is doing, the White House is doing nothing. They've abandoned us. And you know, it's largely a Republican area. So some people say they did it for that reason. I don't even think they're that bad, but they probably, maybe they are. But they want Starlink. So I said, whatever it is, let's sell. I called Elon. I say, and you can't get it. It's really popular. It's very hard to get. But they need it, and they need big doses of it, like fast. And I'm calling Elon. I said, Elon, in North Carolina and parts of Georgia, and the governor is doing a very good job, by the way, in Georgia, I have to say. A very good job. But in parts of Georgia, and in real big parts of North Carolina, they need something called Starlink. I don't know what the hell it is, and you don't have to tell me because I don't want to waste a lot of time. But would you be able to get it? And we talked on the phone for a couple of minutes. And during my conversation with him, I got a call from North Carolina thanking me for getting Starlink. I said, how the hell did you do that? You're talking to me. You didn't have time. He said, well, I have a system. I think he's doing. No, I mean, he approved it while he was talking to me. Is that crazy? We have got to be with, and we've got to protect our brilliant people because we don't have too many of them. We need our brilliant people protected. And Kamala is not one of them, I can tell. But if you want a president who will do whatever it takes to protect you, who will never forsake you, and who will never rest in the defense of our nation, and I'll tell you, never, I'm just thinking it's a beautiful phrase, but we will never rest. We're never going to do anything that will be other than protect the people of our country and our nation. Then you better vote for a gentleman named Donald J. Trump. Have you ever heard of him? Have you ever heard of him? Thank you. Well, I'm going to always get the job done in America and for America. And one thing we always will do, and we've got to do now, because for 50 years we haven't done it, we will always put America first. It's time for us to put America first. We did it 4 years ago, I can tell you. We were energy independent 4 years ago. Can you believe it? With the lowest energy prices, everything was the best. And that's why they compare this with what it was, and people like us. We had the greatest economy in history of our country, and we did well. And by the way, I'm just looking as far as the eye can see, long beyond the fake news. That's a lot of cameras back there. But long beyond the fake news. Look at all the, you can't even see. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Unbelievable. Thank you. You know, I always like to move the fake news way back. And I figure they have cameras that can do it, but that's the maximum they can do. They say that's the, I don't think it is, but they say that's the max, because I would have moved them way the hell to the back, up to me. Because they block the view. They're blocking the view of these people. They block the view of all those people. But you know, this is like a poll. And you have 50,000 people here, 50,000 people. And you know, that is a lot. If we get just the people here to vote, I think we win. I think we win. With your vote in this election, we can seal our borders, we can reclaim our sovereignty, stop inflation, raise your incomes, rebuild our devastated communities, and launch a new golden age of American prosperity and pride. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be American prosperity and American pride. But with 4 more years of Kamala Harris, your long nightmare is just beginning. Remember the word. Somebody said, give me one word to describe your opponent, Kamala Harris. You know what I said? Incompetent. I said, she's incompetent. She shouldn't be in the position. In all fairness, I'm no fan of his, but we had him totally beat. We had the debate. He was gone. We were 20, 21 points up. And they walked in and they did a coup. It was a coup of a guy that got 14 million votes. She got none. She was the first one out. You know, she ran against him. He won. He got 14 million votes. He won. There were 22 people. She was the first one out. She never made it to a great place called Iowa. We love Iowa, the farmers. We love Iowa. But she never made it. She never made it to Iowa. And then all of a sudden, we're running against her. So they had 12 people plus her, and they wanted to be politically correct, and they picked her. And I don't know. I actually think if it keeps going like this, like we're doing, because they said she'd have a 6-week honeymoon, and she did. She had a little bit of a honeymoon period. You know, they went from the fake news, went from calling her horrible, the worst vice president, a total disaster, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything, to being wonderful. She's wonderful. Soon, the fake news. You know, they have the fake news as their partner, and we have a little news, but our news has been. And I never understood why they'd want this, why the fake news would want it, other than they hate our country, because I can't understand. Why do they want open borders? Why do they want sex change operations for people that are too young to even think about it? Why do they want men playing in women's sports, you know? Because we actually are now the party of common sense. I think that's what I like calling us now, right? Party of common sense. But with her in office, inflation will soar. You see where she's working on inflation? Nowhere where she has no idea what she's talking about. She's working on, I will work on inflation. Why didn't you do it again 4 years ago? Why didn't you do it again? You know, my theme with her is, why didn't you do it again? But why didn't you do it then? Why didn't you do it 4 years ago? Why wouldn't you have done this stuff? You want to do this stuff. They want open borders. So now they gave it a little bit of a closure, so the numbers look a little bit better than they did. The damage is done. We got 21 million people in here. We have 647,000 criminals released from jails and insane asylums, released into our country. The damage is done. But you say, how could you be talking about the future? The damage is done. They've got to be talking about getting these criminals immediately out of our country. We have to talk about that, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it rapidly. Why didn't she do it 4 years ago? The economy will crash, your borders will be permanently erased, your towns will be ravaged, and our country will never, ever be able to recover from this disaster. We're going to recover fast, but if you go 4 more years, you may never recover. In fact, I will say, some people say it, I think it's very severe, but I can understand it. Some people say you'll never have an election again. This would be your last election. And I can see it. Remember, I used to say we'll be Venezuela on steroids. And that's sort of what's happening. We're Venezuela on steroids. And we're buying a lot of Venezuela oil. How about this? We foreclosed on his old, broken little plane, the dictator, the head. We foreclosed on his plane, but we buy billions of dollars of oil. Can you imagine that? Should be the opposite way, really, shouldn't it? You know, we took his plane away, but we give him billions of dollars a month in oil. Can you believe it? We're buying oil from Venezuela, and we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world, and it's good. And they don't have oil, they have tar. They have tar. You have to melt it. And you know where it gets melted? In a refinery. You know where? In Houston, Texas. So if you're an environmentalist, all that stuff, I'm going to talk to you about this with Texas. All that stuff is going up into, we do it. It's the only refinery in the world that can do it, because basically they have a lot of tar and you have to melt it, and it's a dirty process. We have the sweetest, lightest, most beautiful stuff. It's not even believable. The only way to avoid this miserable fate for America is if Wisconsin and the entire Midwest turn, and I mean turn out in record numbers. We need We need, and I hate to use this word because they should have never done it with respect to COVID. They should have never done it. But for this, we need a mandate. They shouldn't have done it with COVID. Everybody that did it should be ashamed of themselves, what they did. But we need a mandate in the vote, and we're going to get it. I think we're going to have, I actually think we're going to have numbers like has maybe never been seen before. You know, last time in 2020, we got more votes by far, by millions, than any sitting president in the history of the United States. Think of it. It's unbelievable. Think of the difference. We wouldn't have had Russia going into Ukraine and killing millions of people. Millions of people have died in that war, much worse than you even hear. But that wouldn't have happened, would have never happened. I talked to Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye. He would have never, ever done it, wouldn't have done it. On top of that, the oil prices went up so high that he had, I mean, he was making a lot of money doing it. It would have never happened. You wouldn't have had October 7th with Israel, the attack on Israel. You wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had the Afghanistan most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And we lost 13 great soldiers. Nobody ever talks about the 40 soldiers that were decimated, so badly hurt. And we gave them $85 billion worth of the best equipment anywhere in the world. How stupid. And they moved out the military first. You're supposed to move out the military last, not first. And for 18 months, I spoke to Abdul. He's still the leader of the Taliban. I spoke to him. They said, Abdul, don't do it. But we didn't have one soldier killed in 18 months in Afghanistan. They were killing them like crazy under a man named Barack Hussein Obama. Remember Rush Limbaugh? Remember Rush Limbaugh? Rush Limbaugh would go, Barack Hussein Obama. We miss Rush. We need Rush. Oh, we miss Rush. But they were killing them, a lot of soldiers. And I said, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. We didn't have one soldier in 18 months killed until we had that tragedy of a day and a moment, the most embarrassing moment in history. And actually, Russia, I think, went in because they saw how stupid we were with Milley and these guys that didn't know what the hell they were doing. We have great generals, by the way, but not the guys that you see on television. And you have to tell Kamala Harris that we've had enough. We've had enough of you. You're a horrible vice president. You destroyed San Francisco as the DA. You destroyed California as the attorney general. You're not going to destroy the United States of America. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Fired. We're not going to let him do it, Troy. We're not going to let her destroy our country. That dummy. Did you see where the teleprompter went off yesterday? She didn't know what the hell. My teleprompter, I don't even use it. That's why I don't actually use it too much. But, you know, when you do this stuff a lot, teleprompters break. She had a bad moment yesterday. It broke, right? And she kept saying the same number over and over. I said, what's wrong with her? And maybe it didn't break. I don't know. She said it, bro. But when you do this stuff, as we say professionally, you better, because I've lost it many times. I had one in Ohio for Bernie Moreno, who's doing pretty good up there. He's running for the Senate, just like Eric is doing great here. He's running for the Senate. Eric Hovde. Doing good. Good man. He's a good man. Got to vote for him. But when you do it as much, you know, it breaks. I was in Ohio. I think it was the windiest day ever in the history of Ohio. It was like Scotland. And the wind was blowing at a level that I've never seen here in this part of the world. And the teleprompters were like sails. Wah, wah. And then they blew off the stage. They blew. And we had 50,000 people. It was a great day because he took the lead right after that, a big, beautiful lead in the primary. But it was sort of an amazing experience. But you lose them all the time. and you have to be able to have a mind where you can actually speak without a teleprompter. And isn't it nice to have a president that can speak without a teleprompter? Isn't that nice? It's sort of nice. But you lose them all the time. But she was in La La Land. She was gone, and then it kicked in. She kept saying the same sentence over and over again, over. I don't know. I said, what the hell is going on? And then the teleprompter saved her. It kicked in, but it didn't kick in soon enough, let me tell you. Early voting in Wisconsin is underway now, so if you have an absentee ballot, return it right away as soon as you can. You can also vote in person using an absentee ballot starting October 22nd. And whatever you do, you have to get your friends, get them all out. You know, you have a lot of people out there that don't vote, that love us, but they don't vote. You know who doesn't vote much? Rifle owners. We are Second Amendment people, but NRA gave us their total support. We have support from every group, but NRA gave us complete and total endorsement. And during that, I realized that, because I've always gotten it from the NRA, they've been very nice to me, I'll tell you. But they did tell me that people that own guns and rifles don't vote relatively, like a very small percentage, like 15%. If you would vote, nobody could beat us. I'll tell you another one that don't vote. I love these people. Evangelical Christians. The Christian community doesn't vote as much as they should. They go to church. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to church, or we're going to get out and vote. But the evangelicals don't vote that much. And if they did vote, we could never lose an election. You couldn't lose, you know? So I have to be careful with this. I said once about a month ago, you only have to vote this one time, and after that, everything will be good. And the fake news said, see, he wants to be a dictator and take over the country. No, that's not what. I said, we got to fix the country, got to make sure, and then the country will be great, and we're going to have, hopefully, some great person, whether it's JD or somebody else. And when the great Sean Hannity asked me a question, and I jokingly said, he said, okay, let's get this one. You don't want to be a dictator, do you? I said, Sean, I only want to be a dictator for one day, and I'm going to close the borders and drill, baby, drill. But after that, I never want to be a dictator, right? So the fake news took that answer, and they said, Sean, I want to be a dictator. Click. Cut. So they said, Sean, I want to be a dictator. And they go, he wants to be a dictator. They cut the rest of these are the worst people. These are the worst. They said he's a threat to democracy. He wants to be a dictator. No, you know the threat to democracy are when you put incompetent people in charge of our country. That's a real threat to democracy. Starting on day one of my new administration, we will end inflation and we will make America affordable again, because the prices are too high. The prices are too high. But if crazy Kamala is reelected, one of the first acts will be, and she said this, is to massively raise taxes on American families. You know, I've never seen, all my life, I've loved politics, but I've always been on the other side, like writing checks to politicians, right? But so I really understand, I like it and all, but I've never seen somebody that openly campaigns on the fact that they're going to raise taxes. It's always going to be like when Troy is back in Texas, he's always screaming, I will lower taxes, lower taxes. We always talk, we're going to lower taxes. We want to lower taxes. That's what this group is going to raise your taxes like by 78% or something. And they campaign on it. This is the craziest campaign I've ever been involved in. I had one guy beat, and so I have to beat two people instead of one. I spent $150 million beating Sleepy Joe Biden, who I admire greatly for one thing. You know, I always have a hard time sleeping because I toss and turn. And honestly, I do. I think about the country. I'm tossing and turning and tossing because I want to, you know, like a lot of people do. You have businesses, you toss. It's okay. It's like become your way of life, right? we think about whatever we're doing. In my case, I'm thinking about China. I'm thinking about Russia. I'm thinking about lots of things. And by the way, the enemy from within, the crazy lunatics that we have, the fascists, the Marxists, the communists, the people that we have that are actually running the country, not her. She's not running it, and Biden's not running it either, and you all know that. Those people are more dangerous, the enemy from within, than Russia and China and other people. Because if you have a smart president, you'll be able to handle them very well. But Kamala Harris, Lion Kamala, is called the tax queen because she loves taxes. So maybe just watch this video. Thank you.
Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax bill.
Calling for a bold repeal of President Trump's tax cuts. If Kamala Harris was elected president, there are many different tax policies which could cripple the economy. But the first thing she wants to do is allow these Trump tax cuts to expire.
Even the New York Times admits that 85% of the middle class got a tax cut.
Americans will face a hike. The Tax Foundation finding that a couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would have to pay over $2,400 more in taxes.
And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut. Joe and I are about to get rid of that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut.
Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic. We've got to increase the corporate tax rate. Part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up. We will tax capital gains, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes.
Taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word.
Well, the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves to say, we're going to tax what you don't have. That's a sore point, and it's a big deal. Is that something you think she firmly believes in?
I think it's part of the proposals of the campaign.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee. There has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, and that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular, carbon fee.
How about the tax on unrealized gain? That one hasn't even been tried. That's a communist tax that hasn't been very successful, I tell you. It's, think of it, they want to have a capital gain on unrealized gains. Think of what they're saying. You're going to pay a tax on something you haven't made. Now, these people, these are stupid people, would be driven into a depression like 1929 style depression. For years, Americans have watched as our country has been stripped of our jobs, stripped of our wealth, and seen our companies being sold off to foreign countries. And by the way, I would not approve the U.S. steel deal to Japan. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. One of the greatest companies in the world, 60 years ago, was one of the greatest countries in the world, and we have to help it. We have to make it better. We have to be able to make steel. It could happen. You have a war. And when you have a war, you need things like army tanks and ships and lots of things that are made of steel. We don't want to get our steel from China. We don't want to get our steel. You know, I put a tremendous tariff because China was dumping a lot of bad steel here, bad steel, dirty. I call it dirty steel, not good steel. But I put a big tax. You know, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. No other president took in 10 cents, and I saved our steel industry by doing it. So I'm very proud of that. But under my plan, for the U.S. economy, American workers will no longer be worried about losing their jobs to foreign nations. Instead, foreign nations will be worried about losing their jobs to America because we're taking them back. We're going to bring those companies back, and we can do it with intelligent taxing. We can do it. We can do it like they've been doing to us for years. It's very simple. And we have the place that people want to be, and it's not going to be that way always. If we keep going like this, nobody's going to want to be here. German car companies can become American car companies. We can beat China in electronic production. Manufacturers that have left us will come roaring back. They're going to come roaring back. This thing has gotten such great reviews. I'm going to explain it. It's so simple. And some people said, wow, that's unbelievable what you're doing. Where did you get that idea? I'm going to go a little forward. I got the idea from, if you want tax benefits, you have to build in America. If you don't want tax benefits, you don't have to do. The United States will give you the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs. We have the most energy. We have more than Saudi Arabia. We have more than Russia. We're going to give you the lowest energy, the lowest regulatory burdens, and free access to the best and biggest market anywhere on the planet. But only if you make your product here in America and hire American workers for the job. And we don't do that. You know, there's this crazy person that you just watched. She gives you a tax benefit if you make your product in another country. These people, it's so crazy. And if these companies don't take the deal, they'll pay a very substantial tariff when they send their products made in another country to us, and we will use the hundreds and billions. We will, it's really trillions, okay? But we're going to use the hundreds of billions of tariff dollars to benefit American citizens and to pay off debt, because we have to start paying off debt. And this new American industry will create millions of jobs, massively raise wages for American workers, and make the United States a manufacturing powerhouse like it has never been before. We were good, but we can be better than that if we do this. And it's so simple. And essentially, we're doing to them what they've done to us. They do it. It's so, and some of the worst abusers, I call them abusers of our country, are our so-called allies. What they do to us on trade is just incredible. It's not going to happen any longer. I guarantee you it's not. You know, they respected your president 4 years ago. Now they look at this guy, and now they have somebody that's dumber than he is coming along. It's not good. It's not good. And we can't play games. I'd like to be nice. I want to be nice. I think I'm a nice person, but we can't take games. We can't. If we lose this election, this country is finished. I really believe it. This country is finished. By contrast, the tax queen is demanding a 33% tax hike on all domestic production. You know what's going to happen? All of those companies, even small businesses, but all of those companies are going to leave our shores. Everybody wants the companies. That's what they want. It's very competitive. She even has a plan to tax the unrealized. We're going to talk about that, but it's the craziest thing. Never been done, could never be successful. What it will do is bring you into a wonderful age of our country. 1929 depression. Everybody's going to leave. So if a company succeeds, it must give up much of its value to the government of the United States. Everyone's going to leave. They're going to take their companies. They're going to get out. You know, it used to be you moved from state to state and you negotiate. Now people are moving their companies to other countries. And we're getting killed, by the way, by Mexico. Mexico is killing us. So just be ready, because if I'm president, we're going to take that back from Mexico. They're not treating us right. They're building massive car plants. They're building some of the biggest auto plants, car manufacturing plants anywhere in the world. And then they think they're going to build them cheap and sell them into our country and destroy Michigan and all these wonderful states. So it's not going to happen. We'll put a tariff of 200% on if we have to. We're not going to let it happen. We're not letting those cars come into the United States and destroy our car industry. You won't have anything left. You've already lost 60% of it. You've lost so much over the years. Not when I was there. Kamala Harris already cost the average family $29,000 with rampant inflation. The inflation that we've suffered for the last 4 years now, it's almost 4 years, it's coming back. And look, we're not going to let this happen either. And the price, you know, they talk about more than anything else, groceries. Who would think groceries? It's so bad to go to the supermarket. Who would think it could happen? Her plan would raise taxes on $4.1 trillion. We're going to be raising them by $4.1 trillion in taxes, hiking the families' taxes by $2,600 to $3,200 a year, reducing our GDP by 2%, lowering wages by 1.2%, and killing 786,000 full-time jobs. And I don't know if you know, last month we lost 26,000 manufacturing jobs in the US, 26,000, because people want to get the hell out of here. You know, the market goes up every time I get a good poll number, and we have had great ones now. The market's starting to go, and they get the credit for it. Isn't that a terrible thing? I said, do me a favor, just sort of, every time we have some of the biggest analysts, the best analysts in the world. They're saying every time Trump has good publicity, the market goes up. Kamala is right now shutting down power plants all across the country, causing electricity prices to they are soaring. You see what's going on with electricity by more than 100% soaring, and driving us into third world status by attacking the entire fossil fuel industry. Just so you know, you need fossil fuel to fire up those big, massive plants. The wind isn't going to do it. It's wonderful. Isn't that nice? Look at the little windmill. It's so beautiful. We need fossil fuel. You know, they tried it in Germany. Angela was thrown out after about a year, and now they're building a coal plant a week. I don't like flies. Get out of here, fly. Never been a big fan of flies. You don't mind my bringing that up, do you? Anyway, this is a very aggressive sucker, that is. This one in particular is very aggressive. Like, I'm going to be aggressive for our country. You can probably say that. If this continues, Wisconsin manufacturing will be dead. You'll be absolutely dead. And you know, I got you the biggest shipbuilding contract in the country in my last year, right? He's nodding yes, right? The biggest, and they've done a great job, but the biggest, I took a lot of heat. A lot of people are not in love with me for doing it, but I got it for Wisconsin, and you know that. Actually, you know it from Texas because they wanted it too. I won't say that too loud. But everybody wanted it, and I got it for Wisconsin, and they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. But the horrific nightmare for American workers ends the day that I take the oath of office. It will end on that day. It's going to be over. We're going to have a country that's going to turn around very fast. The centerpiece of my plan for a manufacturing renaissance will be a 15% made in America corporate tax rate, cutting the business tax from 21 to 15. Okay, so I took it from 39 to 21 with the help of your great congressman over here, Troy Nels. We fought hard, but we took it from 39 to 21. Everyone said that's impossible. We got it approved by Congress. Can you believe that? And now what we're doing, and that makes us pretty competitive, but not that, because there are many countries. And again, remember, the countries there are sort of our opponents on trade. They're actually our opponents, and sometimes it's pretty vicious opponents on trade. But we took it down to 21 from 39. Now I'm taking it from 21 to 15, but only for those who make their product in America, right? Pretty simple. And you know, I got a call from some of the smartest geniuses on Wall Street. They said, where did you ever think of that idea? It sounds simple, right? It's like the paperclip. They make the paperclip, and everyone's saying, why did I think of that? But we will protect those companies moving into America. And this is just as important, because you can't have them and then everybody comes and steals your company, steals your people, dumps your product. And so this is important, and all of our existing companies are going to be protected with stiff tariffs placed on companies that don't move in. If they don't move in, they're going to have to pay tariffs, because we're not going to let them hurt the companies that do move in. And the only way they can get out of paying those tariffs is to build their plants and factories here in the USA, anywhere in the USA, and Wisconsin would be nice, but anywhere in the USA. We will also cut energy and electricity prices in half, 50% within 12 months, including for all people and families, not just companies. So ready? Your energy bill will be cut from January 20th, will be cut by 50% in 12 months, okay? 50%. And I hate to say it, with your Democrat governor, you have some of the highest electricity prices and highest energy costs. Is just about at the top in Wisconsin. You have some of the highest costs. So you do have a lousy governor. It's like, I do hear just one thing about him. He doesn't work hard. That's the only thing I hear about him. How does he do it? He doesn't even show up. That's no good. No, he's a lousy governor. I guess they'll work on that next cycle, but he's not a good governor. We will quickly double our electric capacity. You know, if you do AI, you know, AI is the new big thing, whatever, but AI is the big thing. But AI, to do it successfully and to be the leader, because China's already starting and very big, we need double the electricity. For whatever reason, they need massive electricity. We need double the electricity that we have right now. Who would think that? So what we have right now, you need doubled, and we will get that done. We'll have to do something with respect to the environment, because under the environmental impact statements right now, it would take you 20 years to build anything having to do with electric or anything, any form of energy. We're going to do an expedited plan where it'll be done in a matter of like weeks or months. We've got to get it done. We cannot do these impact statements that take years and years and years. People are working on a project. They start off as young men and women, and by the time they're old and retired, the project gets rejected. They actually get rejected. They work on it for 20, 25 years, and then it gets rejected. We're not going to have that, because it's really a way of hurting us. I mean, it's a way of hurting us. We're not going to do it. We need tremendous electric here so that people like Elon and other people that are into this whole world of this, it's a new world, but it's going to be a very big world, a very fascinating world, probably a very dangerous world. AI has got some little tricks to it that we have to be very careful with, but they need massive electricity, and we're going to provide it. We're going to be able to compete with anybody. We'll be the leader. We're going to be the leader in virtually every field. We're going to be the leader in automobile manufacturing. Think of that. And it'll happen quickly. And I have pledged to remove 10 old and burdensome regulations. And I did this. We had more regulatory cuts when I was president than any president in history by 3 times. But we're going to get rid of burdensome regulations. We're taking them off the books, and it's 10 for 1. We put in 1, we get rid of 10, and it had a great impact. Great impact. But I had the most success in history in cutting regulations. I gave you 2 things. I gave you the biggest tax cut in history, and I gave you the biggest regulation cut in history. And those 2 things gave us the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had that just a short time ago. So if you want your incomes to plummet, your net worth to collapse, your tax bills to soar, and your jobs to disappear, then vote for Kamala, because she'll do very well. But if you want Washington bureaucrats to keep their greedy hands off of your money and out of your pockets, then you have to vote for Trump. We're going to get this thing done fast. We'll work together. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to terminate Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate, where every car has to be in a very short number of years all electric. They don't go far. And by the way, I love electric cars. I think they're great, but they're for a certain market. And we want also gasoline-powered cars, and we want hybrids. And the new thing is hydrogen cars. You heard me talking about it. Hydrogen cars is the new thing. It's got one problem. It's very violent. If it blows up, you are not recognizable. Please come down and identify your husband. There's a blood stain on the tree. Can you identify it? No, it's very violent. Did you know that? It's dangerous. If it blows up, you're screwed. Okay. So I'm going to pass on that particular car. They say it has a wonderful future, but the one problem is it's really dangerous when it blows. Okay, it wipes out people on the street. I mean, it's terrible. I would actually say they shouldn't even go too far with that one, don't you think? I don't know. I think we shouldn't go too far, but hydrogen is a big new deal. The other thing we're going to end is the Green New Scam. It's the greatest scam in history. You know, we had the cleanest air and the cleanest water in the history, meaning the recorded history of our country. We had clean air. That's what I want. I want clean, beautiful water, and I want clean air. And after that, I want jobs and I want success for our country, right? My pro-worker policies are one of the major reasons why I've been endorsed by the rank and file membership of the Teamsters. Can you believe that? We got 60% of the Teamster members in Wisconsin. Any Teamsters here? Thank you. Any Teamsters? Yes. Thank you very much. That's very nice because typically Democrats get, and we won nationwide. We won 60% of the Teamsters vote. And we also won 100% of the Fraternal Order of Police, the largest, 400,000. And I do believe that from sheriffs and from law enforcement and from Border Patrol and from ICE, from anything having to do with law and order, I think we're at 100%. We've got like everybody, which tells you something, you know, which tells you they don't like people that were in charge of defund the police. She was in charge of defund the police. Anybody, she's a radical left. She's further left than crazy Bernie Sanders, okay? That's pretty fun. No, she's considered worse than Pocahontas, she's worse than Pocahontas. She's worse than Bernie Sanders. How the hell do you people, is there anybody here that's going to vote for Lion Kamala? Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Actually, I should say don't raise your hand. It would be very dangerous. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. Please don't raise your hand. As we bring back our jobs, we will also restore America's borders with 4 more years of Kamala. Every Wisconsin small town and Midwestern, the Midwestern cities are just devastated by this. We'll be flooded with illegal migrants from the most dangerous places on earth, and Wisconsin will not be Wisconsin any longer. No state will be. The country won't be the U.S. any longer. It's very simple. Your state will be a dumping ground for people that have committed murder, violent crimes, drugs, jail. They're in jails. And that's what's happening. We have 21 million people, as borders are. They came in, and they came in from prisons and jails and mental institutions and insane asylums. And a level of terrorism and a level of terrorists that we've never seen. You know, I never talked about it when I was president. We didn't have one terror attack in 4 years. Think of it. Not one. Think of it. Not one. And I had a lot of people say, sir, it's time you should say that. I said, I don't want to say it until I'm finished. I don't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. But we didn't have one terrorist attack in 4 years. 1 week ago, I was in the beautiful town of Prairie du Chien. Have you heard of it? Prairie du Chien. In western Wisconsin, where, by the way, we had 60,000 people show up. That's the good news. But Biden, Sleepy Joe, didn't give us the number of people required, so we ended up speaking in front of a relatively small group. I hope those people, we're going to go back and we're going to take care of that situation. They didn't give us the people necessary, so we spoke in front of a rather tiny little portion of them. They stayed around. They were great. But we had 60,000 people there, and I think you're getting close to that right here, too. It's pretty amazing. But Prairie du Chien, and last month, police arrested an illegal alien member of a savage Venezuelan prison gang. Not a nice person. This vile monster, who had prior charges for strangulation, was arrested. He liked strangling people. Other than that, he was quite a nice person. No, his thing was he liked strangling people. Was arrested for holding a mother and daughter captive against their will and sexually assaulting them again and again and again. This animal crossed Kamala's wide open border, just walked in. Nobody asked anything about him. They knew nothing about him. He was arrested and released in the sanctuary city of Minneapolis, where you have one of the worst vice presidents. Can you imagine that clown? What JD did to him? How about that guy? And he was immediately released by Minnesota and set loose to prey on more victims. And he did earlier this year in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Fond du Lac. Nice. I love these names. I wish they could give me a little easier names. It just. They told me that's the way you pronounce it, so I hope I got it right. But an illegal alien released by Kamala Harris was arrested for tying up and blindfolding a 12-year-old, you know this, you read it, it's a big story, a 12-year-old girl at the back of a van and viciously assaulting her in so many ways sexually. Today, I make you this promise. I will liberate Wisconsin and our entire nation from this mass migration invasion of murderers, child predators, drug dealers, gang members, and thugs. Going to be liberated. Going to liberate. It's incredible. It would be just incredible. Thank you. Thank you. It's so sad we even have to talk about it. Who would even think we have to talk about it, really? And I think, you know, they say the biggest topic is the economy, the biggest topic is inflation, and then the third topic is the border. I really don't agree. I think the biggest topic might be the border, because I just think, you know, we'll solve the problems, and we're going to, you know, we're going to drill, we're going to get your energy down. The energy is going to bring everything else down. We're going to get the interest rates down. I was 2% in my administration. Now they're 10% and you can't get any money. That's killing the American dream for young people. So we're going to get it down. But to me, you know, I know they do all these polls, and the polls say it's the economy, and the polls say very strongly it's inflation. And I can understand it a little bit. To me, it's the horrible people that we're allowing into our country that are destroying our country. And it's the hardest problem to solve, too. I mean, it's a big, tremendous problem. And that they could do this to our country, putting, again, 13,000 murderers, many of them murdering many people. Many of them, or a certain number of them, a fixed number, but in death row, they were going to be executed. And rather than executing, they said, let's go, we'll dump them into America. They're stupid there. They'll accept them. 13,099 people. Drug dealers at a level that nobody's ever seen. Terrorists from different countries all over the world. You know, this is no longer South America. This is all over the world. And they come from the Congo. The Congo in Africa, I don't know what it is, but large numbers of people are coming in from the Congo. And you know where they're coming from? The jails of the Congo. What's happening is these dictators are taking their jails and they're emptying their jails into the United States. And crime in Venezuela is down 72%. Crime all over the world is down now because they're putting their criminals, they're putting their jail people, they're putting their drug dealers, they're bringing them into the United States of America, and they're dumping them. And they say, don't come back. And if you do come back, we're going to kill you. And we're stuck with them. We're not going to be stuck with them. We're going to be bringing them back, and we're going to shove them right down their throat. They should have never been allowed to be here. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Thank you. And we're not allowing these people to invade us, to conquer us. I mean, did you see what they're doing in Colorado, where you have a very weak governor? He's very weak. He's a liberal guy and very weak. And they've attacked Aurora, Venezuela gangs, young guys. They have weapons like our military has, the equivalent of our military. And they've taken over buildings in Aurora, Colorado. And the governor, he doesn't know what to do because he wants to be nice because he's stupid. And he doesn't really know what to do. I think they need a new governor. On day one of my new administration, the invasion of savage criminals ends And on that same day, the largest deportation in American history begins. The largest deportation. And I'm not happy to say that. I'm not happy. It should have not been necessary. This has all happened over the last almost 4 years now. It shouldn't be necessary. We had the safest border in the history of our country. Oh, my favorite chart in history. Bring down that chart, please. I don't know if you have it. If you have it, bring it down. I love it. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for immigration. I wouldn't be here, Troy. I looked over at that chart and ping. If I didn't, you know, it's amazing. That chart is I kiss it every night. I take it to bed with me every single night. No, I turned over to look at the chart. At the beginning, not the end. It's always on the left. It's never on the right. And just one day it was on the right. And if I didn't turn my head, somebody would be here, but I guarantee you they'd have a hell of a lot less people. You'd have about 3 people in the front. But for all of that, but take a look at that. When you look at that chart, see the arrow at the bottom? That's the lowest number of immigration we've ever had in our country in recorded history. And look what these stupid people allowed to happen to our country. That was the day I left office, right there. That was the day, the red arrow. Look what happened. And all they had to do is leave what I had. I had a policy, remain in Mexico. You have to remain in Mexico until you get checked out. And not a lot of people got checked out. Some very bad people were coming. And they wouldn't get in. They couldn't get in. We built hundreds of miles of wall, and boy, did it work. And then they could have thrown up. We had 200 miles that we were still putting up. We were 500 and some odd miles of wall, a lot of wall, and it was working. We used the Mexican government. They paid a fortune. The Mexican government gave us 28,000 soldiers to protect our border because I said, they're coming through your country. You're going to do it. They said, no, I'm not. To the president of Mexico, who I got along with great, but he said, I won't do that. I said, yes, you will. You're going to do it. They're coming through your country and you're going to do it. They said, no, we won't do that, President. We won't do it. I said, yes, you will. And I said, I guarantee you will. And they started saying, what the hell does this guy have in mind? And I said, if you don't do it, I'm going to put 100% tariffs on your cars and all other things you send into the United States, and we'll make so much money, we'll be able to hire all the security we want. And they said, Mr. President, we've decided that we would love to do it. We would love to do it. They paid a big price. Mexico paid a lot of money toward our wall. Let me tell you, they gave us great security. They had a lot of soldiers, thousands and thousands of soldiers. I said, free of charge. I'm not reimbursed. I didn't reimburse them. And then when these clowns took over, think of it, remain in Mexico, catch and release. So we had catch and release in the United States. We made a minor change. We catch and release in Mexico. That's a big difference. Would you say that's a difference? That's a big difference. So we did all these things, but that was the lowest number in the history of our country. And all they had to do is leave it. Guys like Tom, Holman, Brandon, Judd, you have people now at the Border Patrol that are phenomenal, phenomenal, and they want to do the job, and they're not being allowed to do the job. And then they made this minor change a couple of months ago to try and make the numbers look better. But what they didn't tell you is they're still flying thousands of people overhead, and that's not reported. And they have an app, and you know who the app for is the cartel heads. They call an app so that we can tell them where to drop the criminals. Can you believe it? They have an app. So they have the plane and they have the app, and that's not included in the numbers. Just like 818,000 phony job numbers, I call them fraudulent numbers, 818,000 job numbers, they defrauded. They said there were 818,000 jobs, and they reported it, and they were going to unreport it and correct it right after the election. But we had a great whistleblower who rang it out on them. 818,000 jobs were reported fraudulently to make their numbers look better. These are bad people that we're dealing with, so you have to get out and you have to vote. You also need to vote for the next senator, and I mentioned him, and he's great. He's strong. He's powerful. If he wants, he can come up, or he can just sit the hell down because you're going to vote for him anyway. I got it. But Eric Hovde is running to defeat radical left Tammy Baldwin. You want to come up fast? Come on, Eric. We got to get this guy elected. Come on, you want to come up? Come on up. Come on up. Now he's a little nervous about coming up. He said that was the worst invitation I've ever had. Come on up, Eric. He's great. No, he just said, do you want me up? That was the worst invitation I've ever had. Come here. Say a few words.
I always love being here with President Trump. Let's give him a round of applause. President Trump, I was talking to the folks beforehand. In business, results matter. You know, you got to get a deal done. You got to make money. You've built one of the most successful careers, biggest developer. I've spent my life in the private sector building businesses. We're going to get this country moving. President Trump gave you wage increases of 7.7%, a record for America. That's results. The world had no wars. That's results. Our communities were safe because he had the border closed and he stood by law enforcement. That is results. Senator Baldwin, Kamala Harris, they're career politicians that have never accomplished anything and have failed at everything. So all of you, go work hard, go grab every friend, colleague, neighbor, and let's restore this great country and get President Trump and me to Washington. Let's go, folks.
Thank you very much, Eric. He's a great guy. He's a very, very successful guy, strong. It's what you need. Tammy Baldwin does nothing. She does nothing for you, nothing. And we're also delighted to be joined by a friend of mine. He's a great senator, and he's done a really good job, and he loves your state. Senator Ron Johnson. Ron. You want to come up? We have plenty of time. It's a Sunday, right?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank all of you for coming. On behalf of the hundreds and literally thousands of Wisconsinites that I've talked to over the last few months that want to convey to you their appreciation, oftentimes with tears in their eyes. They want to thank you for your courage, for your tenacity, for your love of this country, for your willingness. They realize you didn't have to do this, but you're willing to do it because, like them, you love this country fervently. So on behalf of all those Wisconsinites, I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. USA. I also want to thank you for your new alliance with Bobby Kennedy. Not only is that important, so we are actually going to address the huge problem of chronic health and children's health. But you are right about the enemy within. They are dividing us on purpose. They are destroying this nation. And by aligning with Bobby Kennedy, you are setting the example, the two of you. Set the differences aside, focus on an area of agreement on a big problem, and in doing so, you are demonstrating exactly how this nation can come together, how we heal and unify America. So God bless you, God protect you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great run. Thank you. Does a great job. I'd like to, if I could, just for a second. So you have a young, brilliant congressman, and he's on a committee, and it's a very important committee, and he's studying fraud and the fraud within the Democrat Party and what they're doing in terms of campaign contributions. And it's a tremendous scandal. And I'm afraid the fake news, they'll probably all turn off the cameras now. But I say, could you just give just a little prelude, because I think it's going to be one of the biggest stories in a long time. Even if they don't want to cover it, they'll be forced to cover it. So I'd like to ask Congressman Brian Stile to come up, please.
Isn't it great to be at a Trump rally? Do you agree with me? President Trump is going to win Wisconsin in 30 days? When we drove over here, people were waving signs and holding up Trump signs. And we saw a lot of men and women of law enforcement are working to keep you safe, Mr. President. So to all the men and women of law enforcement here, thank you for what you're doing to keep President Trump safe. Law enforcement's a lot about keeping us safe and enforcing the laws. And in this election, we want to make sure that people are following the laws. Things like photo ID and U.S. citizens are the only one who should be able to vote in U.S. elections. Don't you agree? As chairman of the Committee on House Administration, we began trying to figure out how all these things are operating. And in particular, where's all the funds coming into the liberal campaigns across the state of Wisconsin running TV ads against President Trump? We looked into Act Blue and we called him into the committee and we said, what processes are you using? And I said, you're using a CVV code. That's that little 3 or 4 digit number on the back of your credit card that you have to use when you buy almost anything online. We found out they weren't requiring it if you want to make a donation on Act Blue. Then we started to dig further and we started to find more and more things where they don't have the financial security in place that they need to. So we did a big review and we've transferred it over to a group of Republican attorney generals from across the country. And they're digging into this information, Mr. Trump. I think they're going to find a lot of answers very soon for you. So President Trump, thanks for what you're doing for this country. I think you're going to win not only Wisconsin, but the presidency in 30 days. And you see this crowd and everyone here. Thanks for all you're doing. God bless you. God bless you, President Trump.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Also with us are members of Congress, great ones. Scott Fitzgerald, what a nice name that is. That's a good name. Where's Scott? I love that name, Scott. Must be a good writer. He's a great writer. Glenn Grothman. Thank you, Glenn. Been my friend for a long time. And a man who is not from these parts any longer. He was from here. He grew up here and he loves it so much. He's from a place called Texas. And he's one of the most popular politicians in Texas. He does a phenomenal job. And he has literally parked himself up here for the last couple of months and for this last month in particular, but he's been here with his brother. His brother is a phenomenal guy, and they are here for one reason, to make sure the election, people get out to vote, and to make sure it's honest. And the people of Texas know this, and they love this guy for what he's doing. He said, I can help. He's so popular. He won by a lot of votes. He has no problems at all. But he felt he was better off coming up, because if we win Wisconsin, we win the presidency. We win the presidency. We win the presidency. So I'd like to ask, and he's just a special guy. I mean, he loves his country so much. And you know, I can tell some guys come up, no, I love the country. Other guys come up, I love that country. You have to. And he's one of the latter. He's one of the guys that just loves it. And they love him. They love him so much in Texas. They love him here. But what he wanted to do, because he knows it so well, he's a part of Wisconsin, he wanted to be here to make sure that we win and to make sure that it's as honest as we can get it, because they're going to cheat. They cheat. That's all they want to do is cheat. And when you see this, it's the only way they're going to win. And we can't let that happen. And we can't let it happen again. We're going to have no country. So I'd like to ask a very special man and a friend of mine, Troy Nels, to come up with his brothers, Trevor, Tim, and Todd. Please come up.
Mr. President, what an honor and a privilege is to be up here with my brothers. We are honored to be with you. Look at the thousands of people out here that love you. They're here. This is America. This is the heart and soul of America. The blue collar, the farmers, they're all here for you, sir. They're here for you because they love you and they think you're great. You know, I've been planning on this thing. I've been reaching to the team. I said, sir, we got to have a rally in Wisconsin. We can win Wisconsin. We keep looking and we keep looking. Gets canceled, this and that. And then all of a sudden, I get a call last Tuesday. Hey, Congressman, you think Sunday would work? What the hell kind of time are you giving us on Sunday to get it? But look at everybody's here. Everybody came because they know how important this election is. You know it. Mr. President, I can assure you this. The passion in this state, they love you. We have been up here for weeks going to county fairs. We see the passion, we see the love, we see the energy. And sir, I can assure you, everybody here is going to get their family, their friends. We are going to win Wisconsin, and Donald Trump is going to make America great again. He's going to do it. He's going to do it.
Wow. I've never seen it before. And his district is so happy he's doing it. He explained it to them. What do you want to do? They love that he's doing it, and we really appreciate it. And we're leading Texas by a lot. We're leading Texas. So he said, I want to come up here because this is a big deal. Wisconsin's a big deal. Thank you. And he knows it so well. They grew up here. Thanks. Former U.S. Senator Bob Caston. Bob, thank you very much. Bob. Nice to see you, Bob. Look good. And Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt, who, by the way, is here. with a group of Wisconsin sheriffs announcing that they are endorsing Trump. We love him. Come on up here, Sheriff.
You're here for him, not me. Mr. President, I am proud to announce that all of these sheriffs are among a very small amount of sheriffs and law enforcement across our country that support you. I'd say 80 to 90% of law enforcement across this country are behind you, Mr. President. I have something very important I think you're going to want to hear. In Dodge County, in this 2024 election, there are 0 drop boxes for the election. Our clerks are fantastic. We're going to make sure that we have the best, most secure election in Dodge County history. And one last thing, Mr. President, the last time I met you, I was with 200 sheriffs standing on the south lawn, and you came out and you shook a bunch of sheriffs' hands, and you didn't quite get to me. Wait, so I did one thing that I knew would get his attention, and he'll do again here shortly as soon as I say it. I shouted, and he walked over to me afterwards, "Best president ever!"
This is a great honor. These are great, great men, and there's nobody that respects them more than this group. They do such a job, and generally law enforcement in our country, and and woman. Come here. She's the best one up here, I think, right, Sheriff? Thank you. That's good. Thank you very much. But I appreciate it so much, and the endorsement means a lot to me, and anything you need, I'm here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time. Thank you. These are great people. Wow, what a group. Thank you, sheriffs. Thank you. And we have a lot of law enforcement here today, and I just want to say to all of the people in Wisconsin and law enforcement officers, all of them that are here today, we have so many. I will give you my total support, resources, power, protection, and respect. You are going to do your job because that's what you want to do. You're the most respected people in our country. I want you to know that. Sometimes you don't feel that way, but you are most respected people. So I really think, and Sheriff, thank you very much. What a group. I was a little concerned, you know, there was a lot of beef up here, and I'm worried about this. I was worried about this platform. I said, do you think it's structurally okay? You know, I'm the realist. And I'm looking at this. It wasn't looking too good. I had to say, come on, let's get off. But these are great people, and boy, they love your state. They love our country. That I can tell you. So thank you very much. It's a great endorsement. Thank you very much. So the sheriffs will be happy to know that we're going to end sanctuary cities. We will never defund our police, and we will make Wisconsin safe again. They're going to actually do that. They're going to make Wisconsin very safe, and they've kept it safe anyway. They only know how to keep it safe. That's all they want to do. I want to thank you. They're great. Kamala Harris is the worst vice president in the history of our country, a radical left Marxist who was rated far worse than anybody else in the Senate. And here are the facts. She wants to very simply, and they always go back to their original. You know, with the politics, if you go back to me, you'll see I don't think I've changed at all. They comment like 30 years ago when I wasn't in politics. I've only been doing this actually for like a short while. A senator came up to me, sir, I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. I said, yeah, I've been doing it for about 8. And we became president. He's the man that wanted to run for president, but it never worked out. And if you knew him like I did, it will never work out. But Kamala Harris wants open borders. She will deliver even more catastrophic inflation. She was an original creator, Sheriff, of a defund the police movement. What do you think? Is she reformable? Sheriff, is she reformable? She was in charge of defund the police. Do you think she's fully reformed? I don't think so. I don't think so. And anybody who wants to defund the police for even a week or for even a day is not worthy of being president of the United States. Kamala Harris vowed to abolish ICE. These are great people. These are great patriots. They're tough cookies, too. They would go into a pack of MS-13 gang members and the fist would fly. I don't know. Somebody has to do that job. I don't see anybody up here. I have a couple of friends. I don't see them doing that particular job. They're good at other things, but not that. But these are great people, and she wants to defund them. She wants to get rid of them. She wants to take ICE out. These are the people that remove the worst criminals, the worst gang members, the worst drug dealers from out of our country. Get them the hell out of here. And she wants to get rid of them. She wants mass amnesty and citizenship for all illegals. And she says that we must not utter the words illegal alien or radical Islamic terrorist. She lost more than, to me, statistically, this is the worst. In less than 4 years, she lost more than 325,000 migrant children that are now dead in sex slavery, or just plain missing. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, or rape of an unconscious person as totally nonviolent crimes. She praised the idea of a 70 to 80% tax rate. She thought that was very good. She pledged to abolish private health care. For some people want private health care. They have to pay for it, but they maybe don't want to wait in line for 6 months. And force everyone into socialist government-run healthcare, which is what you have to do. They wait online for months and months, and they take a routine or a minor illness, and they end up being terminally ill. And by the way, what we did for the military with that, you know, we gave choice, and we also did something that was very important. We got rid of 9,000 sadists and bad people from our Veterans Administration. And we got rid of them. They hated our soldiers. They hated our heroes. We got rid of them and replaced them with people that love our people. That's what we want, love our country and love our people. The other thing we did, which is very important, is choice, because our veterans were waiting in line. You know, we had a 92% approval rating with our vet. Now it's down into the 40s, and they're getting rid of a lot of the things we did for our vets. We had choice where if you had to wait more than a day for a doctor, a day and a half at the most, you go outside, you get a local doctor, we pay the bill, you get yourself fixed up. This never happened before with our vets, and it was unbelievable. And slowly but surely, they're going to dismantle that. They've already started dismantling that. It was one of the best things I was most proud of. And we're going to get it back very fast, you vets. We're going to get it back very fast. Now, people would be waiting online for months. They'd say, you have to come back in 3.5 months, and whatever the condition. Can you imagine that where you're told you can't even see a doctor for 3.5, 4 months, longer than that? And you know, the VA has some great doctors, but the management of getting to see them was very peculiar. So we're going to take care of that. But we did something. They've been trying to get that for 58 years, and I got it done, totally done. And nothing worked better. And again, 92% approval rating. It was never even, it was rarely in the 40s. So I was very proud of it, and we'll redo it again. We'll redo it fast. I know exactly what to do, and we're going to redo it. We're going to take care of our veterans, and I think everybody wants that. And as people have been hearing and not believing, but it's true, she even endorsed free sex changes for illegal aliens in detention at taxpayer expense. So if you're an illegal alien and you're in detention and you decide that you would like to go from a man to a woman, we give you an operation. You know, not only is the concept bad, but it's an unbelievably expensive procedure, and we're supposed to pay for it. This is what she wants, and she wants to do it. And she hasn't declined that yet. You know, it's hard for them to decline everything. So normally if somebody changes one policy, they're out of business, right, Troy? She's changed 15 policies from fracking to everything to that. And nobody believes her. And as soon as, if she ever won, as soon as that would happen, you're going to be a whole different country. You will see things. And I don't even believe she's calling the shots. There are some very bad and vicious people that surround her that call the shots. She's just a vehicle. Just like Biden was a vehicle. He has no idea what the hell he's doing. And you saw that. You saw that. Think of it. He has no idea. He couldn't answer any questions. And she can't do anything. She can't do anything. She doesn't want to talk because she is just a vehicle for very bad people that surround her. 2 days ago, Joe Biden shuffled into the White House press room and made the most powerful case against Kamala Harris because she's trying to disassociate herself from crooked Joe Biden. What do you like better, crooked Joe or sleepy Joe? Depends. When he's sleeping on the beach, I like Sleepy Joe. When he's in the White House, I like Crooked Joe because he's the most crooked president we've ever had. I think, but right now I think Sleepy because they took the presidency away from him. They had a coup. They staged a minor coup, if you haven't heard. But she is trying to disassociate. She doesn't even know who the hell he is anymore. She doesn't mention his name. She doesn't mention how bad inflation was. How bad the 325,000 children that we just mentioned. All of these things are so bad. How bad the economy is. How bad the border is. To me, again, the border. It's over the border. You know, I won in 2016 because of the border. I did a phenomenal job. Is that right, Troy? You were a beneficiary in Texas, and I did such a great job. And then in 2020, when I ran, got more votes and everything. But I wanted to talk about the border. My people said, sir, nobody wants to talk about the border anymore. You fixed it. I said, that's why I want to talk about it. I couldn't talk about it. I said, I want to talk. People weren't interested in it. But that border in 2016 was nothing compared to what you have today. What you have today is a sick group of people that are letting these really bad, dangerous people into our country. And we're not going to let that. We're going to close that up on day one. My first order is going to be close the border. And they could do that too. They could do that too. You know, Biden could do that right now. He could get up and say, close the border, and they do it because the president has that power. He doesn't need bills. They keep talking about bills. The bill they're talking about was the stupidest bill I've ever seen. But they don't need bills. All the president has to do is say, close the border, and he has refused to do it. Biden said that he and Kamala were, quote, singing from the same song sheet She helped pass all the laws, every single one of them. She was a major player in everything we did. Now, he went up into the White House press secretary's lectern, and he said this stuff, and they were dying. They were saying, oh my God, it's coming down. And because, you know what? He got tired of hearing that she had nothing to do with anything. And he knew it was a lie, so he couldn't take it any longer. And he went up and made a fool out of himself, but you'd expect that. But he said this was one hell of a this was the worst press conference. They're screaming at him. He didn't know what the hell was happening. But the reason he went up there was to make that statement that she knew everything. She cannot disassociate herself. She approved everything. She was the vote in the Senate as the vice president for many of these bills. So a vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of crooked Joe Biden. It's a disaster. It's a disaster for our country, and it'll never be this way. A vote for Trump is a vote for change, and it's a vote for saving our country. Unbelievable. So if Kamala, just in sort of closing up, if Kamala enacts her agenda, she'll destroy America. Our agenda will make America safer and wealthier than ever before. We will have, remember this, something that I think is very important for different people. We will have no tax on tips. Now, that doesn't help the sheriffs so much. That's not going to help you guys. They never got that tip, I guarantee you that. But that helps a lot of people. That has been but no tax on tips. Then she copied us, right? 2 months later, she said, I've got a major announcement. There will be no tax. But she never even said it again after that. No, but the difference is we get it done. You know, they talked about education, and they talked about the debt for students, student debt. And they failed on it. They failed on everything. The student debt, a lot of people didn't like it, but regardless, they said it. They kept saying it. They kept losing, and now it's a dead deal. It would be that way with these. No tax on tips. Ready? No tax on overtime if you work overtime. And you have a lot of overtime people here. You have a lot of people that work a lot of overtime. I used to hate to pay overtime, Troy. Oh, I used to hate to pay overtime. I did everything I could to get out of it. But you know what? It's a big deal. And I actually think that's going to be a benefit to our economy, an overall benefit. So it's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. And are there any seniors in this particular place? I refuse to raise my hand. Okay, no tax. And this is big because you've been destroyed with your fixed incomes. You've been destroyed by inflation. No tax on Social Security for our seniors. No tax for us. That's a big one. And I'll get them done fast. We've got people already working on it. We'll get them all done fast. While working Americans catch up, we're going to put a temporary cap on the credit card interest rates. Look, right now, people are paying 24%. They're getting killed. We have people with electricity and their bills that behind 26% of our country is behind on paying their electric bills. We can't let them pay 22, 24, 26% interest. He just said 30. Are you paying 30, sir? Let me see who you are. He's dealing with Alphonse Capone as his lender, right? Yeah, one of those nice lenders. So we're putting a cap of 10%, temporary cap, until we get past this terrible period that we're living in, right? I can do that quickly. We will become energy independent and then energy dominant like no country has ever seen before, because my second order, number one, close the border. We're going to get them out of here. Close the border. What's number two? Drill, baby, drill. We will open Anwar in Alaska, the largest drilling site perhaps in the entire world. Can you imagine? Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. Nobody could get it. They've been trying for years and decades, and nobody could get it. I got it done. And they were all set to take. This is a site that would supply all of Asia. We would make a fortune, would pay down our debt. And Biden comes in and he terminates it. Nobody could get it done. Ronald Reagan, it was his number one thing he wanted to get done. And it's much tougher to get it done today than it was many years ago. I can tell you that. They use the environment. They use anything they can use. But we're going to tap the liquid gold. Look, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world. We're going to start using our liquid gold instead of letting it sit there as we buy tar from Venezuela and other places. And we will always protect your Social Security and your Medicare. We're not going to have any cuts. And I'll tell you, we're never raising the age. She's going to raise the age on Social Security by 5 years. We're not raising the age on Social Security. And we didn't for 4 years. We proved it. They're going to raise it because they're letting so many people on that shouldn't be there. I will settle the war in Ukraine. I will end the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent World War III. I'm going to prevent it. Thank you. Thank you very much. And days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of many, many people far over 300 national security officials. They worked with me. The whole group got together. They endorsed me like they've never endorsed anybody before. Even some of the people that you sort of see were against me, they were in that list. They endorsed me. And some of them got a lot of money for a book. You know, they said, no, Trump is great. Trump is great. Well, we're going to pay you $2 million for a book. Well, he was okay. You know, you got to say bad. We're not giving you any money unless you say bad. That's what happens, but that's okay. But over 300, you know that, Troy? The biggest guys in the country, over 300 people that worked with us endorsed me, which is a record, and I'm very proud of it. Thank you very much. We call that peace through strength, and they believed in it too. Peace through strength. I will support universal school choice, very important. We will let federal education dollars follow the child instead of a propping up of a woke federal bureaucracy. And I will defend, I can't even believe I have to say this, I will defend parental rights. Can you believe it? Who would believe you had to say that? Can you imagine 10 years ago having to say that? You'd be embarrassed to have to say it, but we will protect the parents. I won't investigate parents at schools and school boards. These school boards have dominated this administration. I've never seen anything like it. The parents are arrested. The FBI goes after them. We will protect parents. We will protect parental rights. It's very, very important. I'm going to be listening to the parents. I'm listening to the parents. We will rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again, and especially safe because of people like that. And we will keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. It's under tremendous threat. Somebody said, well, how are you going to do that? You know, one of these stupid people that ask questions. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If a country wants to leave us and they want to not just consider us the world's currency, we have to be careful with it too. We have to cherish it and take care of it. But it's very important. It'd be like losing a war. If somebody says from a country, we're going to pull out of the reserve currency, I will say the following. That's okay. But I'm going to charge you a 200% tariff on all the business you do in the United States of America, and it goes into effect today, and they will look at me and they will say, sir, we have decided to stay in the reserve currency, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, Troy can tell you this. There are some people that say, we love Trump's policy, but we don't like Trump. And I say, no, because I actually think I'm a nice person. All I want to do is save our country. Okay, so I just want to say that. And then a couple of our senators said, here's the problem. you like his policy, but his policy only works with him. Because like that, what I just told you, how many people would say to the head of a country that when Macron, nice guy, when Emmanuel from France, he said he's going to tax American companies at a very high rate, higher than other companies. And I said to Mnuchin and some people, don't let him do it. Go tell him they're not going to do it. And if he does it, it's going to have a problem. They went and they came back and they said, sir, we haven't been successful. I said, go do it again. And after that, I'll take it. And they did it again and they were unsuccessful. They came to me. They said, no, he's going to tax American companies. Now, this is France. They're going to tax American companies at a very high rate. Very few others, but American companies. And I said, get him on the phone. I got him on the phone. Emmanuel, how are you? Oh, Donald, I am fine. Thank you so much. I said, Emmanuel, I understand that you're going to put a very big tax on American companies. Now, as your president, I have to protect American companies. I can't let that happen. And other companies and other countries aren't going to be taxed. Like hell, that's going to happen. So I said, I understand that's going to happen, Emmanuel. Yes, Donald, it is already passed by essentially their legislature. I said, no. I said, no, Emmanuel, you're not going to do that. Yes, Donald, it's too late. I'm so sorry, President. I'm so sorry. I said, it's not too late. Not too late. Because if you do that, I'm going to put a 100% tariff on every bottle of wine and every bottle of champagne that you send into the United States of America. 100%. And he said, that's not fair. That's not fair. I said, listen, it's not fair that you're taxing our companies at more than other countries' companies. So to me, it's very fair. He said, I told him, and I was very late. I think I was probably working on one of the hoaxes or something that was, keeps you busy. The Democrat scams and hoaxes. I said, Emmanuel, I don't have time. I'm giving you 5 minutes to call me, if you will. Please call me back within 5 minutes. Let me know it, because I'm ready to sign this tax. I will call back. He called back in about 2 minutes. He said, Donald, I have decided that we will not charge this tax on American companies. Thank you, Emmanuel, very much. See you soon. Bye. I did so much of that. I kept us out of wars. Remember, with Trump, you had no wars. Remember crazy Hillary? She said, look at him, look at him. Look at his attitude. He's going to cause wars. And I said, no, my attitude is going to keep us out of wars. And I was right. Except I finished off ISIS, right? We finished off ISIS. 100% of the ISIS caliphate was going to take 5 years. I did it in 1 month. It was done. No wars. First time in 81 years. I started no wars. But this is how we will end the era of inflation and mayhem and misery under Kamala and Crooked Joe. He's crooked as a $4 bill. I used to say a $2 bill, but I see $2 bills around, so I can't say that. And unleash safety, prosperity, and peace for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed, every one of them. Together, we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, and low inflation so that everyone can afford groceries, a nice car, and a home, the basics. We will stop the invasion. We will end migrant crime. We will strengthen our military. We will build a missile defense shield around our country. Much of it will be made in Wisconsin, by the way. We will keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. It's God. And we will keep men out of women's sports. We will defend the Second Amendment, protect religious liberty, restore free speech, and we will once and for all secure our elections. Everyone will prosper, every family will thrive, and every day will be filled with opportunity and hope and especially for the people of Wisconsin. You're going to be happy. You're going to be happy. But for that to happen, we must defeat Kamala Harris, and we must stop her country-destroying radical left agenda once and for all. We have to knock it. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. We want it too big to rig. And just finally, after all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. I believe they're going to be the 4 greatest years, not just a fixing up, it's going to be a going forward. With your help from now until Election Day, 30 days, we will redeem America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we love. November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country, and together we will make America powerful again. Powerful. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, Wisconsin. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. So we have heard Donald Trump address the voters in Wisconsin. He's been up there for quite a while. He had a lot to say. Hey MC, how are you? Hope all is well. You know, Replay Gang is the place to be. You can't be here live in person. Replay Gang is the place to be. Again, he has spoken about what he plans to do should he win this upcoming election. He has discussed getting energy costs down, which will have a trickle-down effect, so to speak, with the cost of goods and services, and therefore boosting the economy. I'm good, MC. I'm good. I've been productive today, so that's a plus. I'm a little more than usual. I try to be productive every day, but that's here nor there. So yeah, he's talked about what he plans to do with the border. He has talked about what he plans to do in regards to manufacturing. Actually, folks call it trickle down, but it's more of a trickle up. But anyway, oh no. We had a lot of commentary here in the chat. A lot of let me start with this. Okay, so my moderators do a fantastic job. Because we are doing political commentary, political commentary, political education. We want, my directive to the moderators has been to allow comments that either start a conversation or further the current conversation. So things like Trump going to prison, Kamala need to be locked up, he lying, go to hell, that kind of stuff. We're not going to tolerate that, because that does absolutely nothing for the conversation. Questions are definitely warranted, but there's a couple of topics we're not getting into. If we're here talking about Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, we're not talking about Epstein, we're not talking about Diddy, we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about what's going on. So comments mentioning, those individuals, unless we're specifically talking about them, my moderators have a directive to go ahead and time you out. So yeah, if your comment is a question about something that's going on, or you're commenting on what the current topic of the conversation is, that's cool. But just random nonsense, we don't have time for that, because again, we're in the countdown. We're in the last 30 days of this election, and the point of this is to make sure that people are informed. So if we're providing you with information, showing the candidates, so they may be saying something that answers a question you have, we don't have time for goof comments. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's it. That's all. Okay, what is it that you don't like about Trump? You asking me? Okay, you asking me. I think at times he needs a little too much attention. Yeah. For me, at times he needs a little too much attention. Like, sometimes when he's speaking, you giving a fact, or you're talking about something that you did, just say that you did it. You don't have to keep going. Whereas, saying the best thing that ever happened since Jesus turned water into wine, just be like, okay, we did this, we did that, and keep it moving. Sometimes it's a little extra. I mean, from what I see in doing this for, a couple of months, people tend to get classism, racism, and prejudice confused. They're all not the same, especially prejudice and racism. Folks tend to get a lot of that confused. Name one accomplishment of Harris, just one. Hell, I can't. I've been asking the same question. Somebody let me know what's going on. Trump wants to bring back stop and frisk. That's something I don't agree with, but I do understand it. Okay, I didn't know that, Eric. Well, that's good information. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. He don't always say what we want, but he loves this country. Exactly, John. Well, see, that's the thing. As a politician, you can't really just come out, even though everybody say they want transparency. And that's for anybody anywhere. You can't always come out and say exactly what you want, because it ain't gonna go over well with everybody. So I mean, again, if you're trying to promote yourself to all people, then everybody don't think the same. So you got to give each group a little something. So yeah, because there'll be some times I tried that debate. That would have gone a whole different way. But again, I'm not the one running for office, and it would have been like hell with all of this. So yeah, maybe that's not something I need to do. But I agree. You say the only way, hey Orders, the only way to round up the illegal stop and frisk may be necessary. You got a point. You gotta. That's a thought. Seriously, that's a thought. It might be necessary, because again, you already know criminals ain't worrying about having no paperwork. People, who trying to take advantage of their opportunity of being here and be decent, I would assume would be able to, if it's not on them right then and there, be able to, get their hands on it. So yeah, again, stop and frisk may be necessary in areas that are largely populated by unwanted guests. I'm gonna put it like that. You say if you're being stopped and frisked multiple times a week, that's breaking. Stop and frisk, especially now. You said that's breaking your Fourth Amendment rights. Again, the Constitution don't apply to you if you ain't a U.S. citizen. We ain't worried about that. New York was safer under Giuliani than it is now because of stop and frisk, especially with the overwhelming amount of migrants. Okay. Y'all go. Yeah, we good. I mean, listen. Tell what DeSantis talking about. Hold on. DeSantis having a press conference about the hurricane. Hold on. Oh, because Milton out there in the Gulf, they said Milton is a Category 1 right now. Let's see what DeSantis talk about real quick because that's important. What'd you say? Hold on. Phrase. He is for our right to speak and he's God chosen people. Okay. New York has never been a safe place. I'll go. Okay. Hold on. Let's see what DeSantis talking about this.
We're ready to go in the state of Florida, doing whatever we need to be able to respond to this storm. And we anticipate a big storm, strong storm. There's going to be response that's going to be needed on the search and rescue. I do think a lot of Floridians are understand that this, I mean, when you see the path, the way it's on, it's like coming right at. I do think psychologically, people say, okay, it's gonna hit us. Where some of these other ones that have different curves, sometimes they think, well, maybe not. This one, like, we're in the way of the storm, the state of Florida. So I think a lot of people are heeding the advice that's being given. Nevertheless, we will have people that'll be there ready to respond to rescues as need be. We have established a base camp at Tropicana Field to support ongoing debris and post-landfall first responder operations. Remember that you have time to prepare and execute your plan for hurricane response, but you got to start doing it now if you haven't already. So you have time the rest of the day. You have time tomorrow to execute it. You may even have some time on Tuesday, but as you get into that, you could start to see conditions get deteriorate. That's possible. So have the plan, execute the plan. Now is the time to do it. If you are somebody that is in a very vulnerable part of the west coast of Florida that would be susceptible to storm surge, you certainly can leave now. You don't have to wait to get an evacuation order. And I think most Floridians now at this point, particularly on the West Coast, having just gone through Helene, they kind of know what parts of their county is going to be more susceptible. If you're in that, you can absolutely take off now and go to a friend's house, go to family house. I mean, I know there's people coming up to North Florida I've talked to. Now, there is going to be shelters open and all that will happen within your county. And not everyone has the means to be able to go. You're going to absolutely be able to do that. There'll be hotels that'll be available that are on higher ground that are hurricane proof. So there'll be a lot of options, but you have time now to formulate and execute that plan. So please don't wait and do not try to game the forecast thinking like, oh, well, I see it's a little bit here, so I'm going to be fine there. I'm going to be fine there. It very well may be. There's going to be a lot of evacuations that are going to be issued across the west coast of Florida. Depending on how this storm goes, very possible that some people will end up evacuating and in hindsight didn't have major damage. That's possible, right? If it is looking like it's going to go into Tampa Bay and then it goes further south, 75 miles. If you're in Pasco or some of those, you may, being on the cleaner side of the storm, you may not see catastrophic damage. That is definitely possible, but I wouldn't bet on that happening. And I would definitely say for Southwest Florida, again, don't get wedded to kind of where the eye of the storm is right now. There's a lot that can change, but a Tampa landfall is going to produce storm surge in places like Sarasota and Charlotte. If it landfalls a little further south, it's still going to produce storm surge further south and southwest. So I think no matter what, I think you're going to see surge from in the southwest part of the state. I think the storm's going to be big enough. I think it's going to be strong enough. And so it doesn't even matter if it goes into Tampa or Bradenton. If you're in Southwest Florida, you are going to feel that. So just be prepared for that. Now, obviously, if it goes further south, people are on the north, they're on the cleaner side. That's a big difference in terms of the potential impact, no question, but you cannot possibly know how that is going to shake out. So just be very, very cautious about how you're looking at this data, and do not make inferences that somehow you're going to be in the clear. The entire peninsula, the entire West Coast has the potential to have major, major impact because of the storm surge with this storm. Gas tanks, as I mentioned, we're bringing in gas, but make sure your tanks are filled, particularly if you're going to evacuate. Know your zone.
Bringing in that
if you want to go
gas.
to floridadisaster.org/know, you can determine whether you live in an evacuation zone. Now, we just had Hurricane Helene. You had communities that saw storm surge. So I would say, if you saw significant storm surge last storm, you could have that and then some this storm. It is possible that it will exceed what you saw with Hurricane Helene, depending on the precise path of this storm. But you can go to floridadisaster.org/know to determine if you live in an evacuation
What you mean
zone.
a few criminals? It's millions of folks over
Locations
here.
are now open in many places in central and southern Florida. Check your county's emergency management page to know where those locations are. Your emergency management page at your county can be found at floridadisaster.org/counties. Keep an eye on those alerts. Listen to what your local officials are telling you, particularly about evacuation zones. I know Kevin and I were talking about which counties are doing which now. There's going to be a flurry of these things that are going to come out over the next 24 hours. So just be prepared for that. The following counties have announced school closures for tomorrow, Monday, October 7th. DeSoto, Hillsborough, Lee, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota. And you may end up having some more that get added to that. If you're in one of those counties and you got kids, that just gives you more freedom and more opportunity to be able to evacuate if you're in an area where you need to do that. To see the latest information on school closures, you can go to fldoe.org, fldoe.org. Please be careful about driving as conditions worsen, which potentially could happen sometime on Tuesday, depending on how fast this thing moves. We did have, unfortunately, fatalities on the road. I think in almost every storm we do, it's difficult. It's not easy, but be very, very careful when you're doing that. For people that are still reeling from Hurricane Helene, if there's something that you need, call Hope Florida. It's open 24/7, 1-833-GET-HOPE, 1-833-GET-HOPE. You're going to have potentially major power outages. We've had good generator safety practice in Florida over the more recent storms compared to where maybe we were a few years before. Remember, do not run your generator in your home. That will potentially kill you. Keep it outside, away from doors and away from windows. And if you have an electrical vehicle, just remember that if you have saltwater intrusion, particularly with storm surge, it can catch on fire. And that creates a major fire hazard, and it puts your home, if it's in a garage in your home, it puts your home in jeopardy of burning down. So these are really significant things. Make sure that if you have an electric vehicle, that you're getting it out of the range of any storm surge. Get it to higher ground.
Guns are the leading cause of gun violence.
Right after Helene, and there were a number of people, not just EVs, a number of people were parking the cars on the bridge because that was higher up. You're not going to want to leave EVs in there. Now, your other cars too, because if you have 6 feet of storm surge, it could definitely take out a normal car. Those don't necessarily catch on fire because they don't have the same battery that the EVs do, but you can lose the car from that. But the EVs, I think, have the potential to have broader impacts. I want to thank Kevin Guthrie and Jared for mobilizing very quickly. We had a massive mobilization for Hurricane Helene, very rapid response. You see that in the power restoration. You see that in the search and rescues that were conducted very efficiently in the hours after the storm. You saw it in the very quick restoration of SR 786 and Anna Maria Island and Bradenton Beach and all those areas. You've seen it across the board. You've also seen a lot of people doing a lot of great things in Western North Carolina, saving lives. search and rescue, helping with roads, doing things that are really impactful. And then once this storm was forming, to have everybody back ready to go, to marshal all these resources to get this critical debris removal mission as far along as possible. This has been very, very quick for these agencies in terms of their response. So I'm very appreciative of that. And look, when these emergencies hit, it's not 9 to 5 at that point. It is 24/7. And you just have to do that. I think everyone's got to be on that posture throughout the state of Florida.
Yeah,
we've got a runway coming up to midweek. We are going to have a major storm.
It's already Category 1.
It's too soon to tell exactly where. It's too soon to tell exactly how powerful, although we expect it to be powerful. But the one thing that we know is we don't want to waste any time. We want to do 24/7. Our guys are doing it. I would encourage everybody out there in these local communities, particularly on debris. Let's go 24/7 and let's get this done. Okay, Kevin Guthrie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Governor, thank you once again for jumping in to action ahead of expected impacts from Hurricane.
They don't have everything is water has covered everything, so they don't have nowhere to put them.
The state emergency response team continues to work on mission requests received from counties and deploy any requested resources to areas in need as preparations are underway. Residents should be putting their disaster plans into action now, as the governor has already mentioned, and more importantly, ensuring that everyone in the household understands that plan. If you have gone through items in your disaster supply kit, now's the time to restock them. Your disaster supply kit should have enough supplies to last each member of the household, including your pets, for at least 7 days. If you or a loved one have access or functional needs, please register with the Florida Special Needs Registry at floridadisaster.org/SNR to provide information to your local first responders ahead of the potential storm impacts. We've gotten some questions you may ask. What are access and functional needs? If you're dependent on medication, you're dependent on electricity, a portable oxygen machine, any of those type of devices, you qualify to be on that special needs registry. People are prideful people. I talk about this all the time. My dad is one of them. My dad has a lung condition. By definition, he is functional and access special needs. So please make sure you're registering for that. When you do that, your local county government will come straight to your house. They will get you, they'll provide transportation, get you to a shelter, and make sure that you get returned to your home afterwards. You don't have to worry about anything, just register. You very well may lose power, and there will be no way to use your medical devices. So again, please make sure you head to the closest shelter to you that can take care of you, or obviously stay with friends and family. If you need to evacuate and you live in a high rise, I want to make sure that you understand, if you make a decision that you live on the 5th, 10th, 20th floor of a condominium, and we have storm surge into this impacted area, there are a lot of high rises in Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Manatee County, Sarasota County. If you make a choice to stay up and we get storm surge and it takes that elevator system down, my brother-in-law works in the elevator business. He is still trying to repair elevators from Hurricane Ian.
Ooh,
right?
Lord.
It takes time to get this stuff done. Please make sure, if you made that decision, you may have to go up and down 5, 8, 10, 20 flights of stairs. If you're older, your joints are weak, that's hard to do. So please make sure that you make conscientious, self-aware decisions. Your gas tank electric vehicle only need to be halfway full or halfway charged to ensure that you can get to some type of evacuation shelter. We have fuel and electric vehicle chargers pre-staged along evacuation routes to support the evacuations.
Ian was 2022.
You can get additional preparedness resources and state updates on Hurricane Milton, and they can be found at visiting floridadisaster.org/updates. You can follow us on X and Instagram at FLSERT and Facebook at FDEM, where we are sharing updates in real time. Please make sure you have ways to find information from your local county emergency management, and you do that by going to floridadisaster.org/counties. Again, I want to reiterate something that the governor said moments ago. He gave all of the announcements for schools that are being closed in the Tampa Bay general area. Tomorrow, when we wake up, it would not surprise me if with the 5 a.m. or the 11 a.m. update, we get storm surge watches in effect. Pay attention to those storm surge watches. The governor and I have been talking about not just the cone, but we've been talking about storm surge, storm surge, storm surge. Those storm surge watches will extend hundreds of miles in each direction of that cone. If you have more than 3 feet of storm surge, I would argue if you have more than 2 feet, but we'll go with 3, you need to seriously consider evacuation. Make that decision early, get on the road early. Nobody wants to be on I-4 or I-75 stuck in traffic. Get on the road early, evacuate early. If you have the means to go to a hotel, please get on the road early, get to your destination. It'll be much better than having to sit in hours and hours of traffic at the last minute. And we know people are going to wait till the last minute. I cannot ask for a better partner in Jared Perdue. He is already working all of the issues that he'll talk about, and he is ready for massive evacuation of the area. But again, no time like the present to put your evacuation plan into effect right now. Because again, I believe tomorrow morning when we wake up or mid-morning, we will have those evacuation or those storm surge watches in place, which will then govern the evacuations. Thank you very much, Governor, for your support.
Jared?
Okay, good evening, and thank you, Governor, again, for your leadership and continued support during this time as we continue to recover from Hurricane Helene and get ready for the impact of Hurricane Milton. To date, FDOT has removed almost 140,000 cubic yards of debris. That's sand and debris statewide, and we're focusing now our efforts on the impacted coastal areas of Pinellas and Manatee counties. Under the direction of Governor DeSantis, FDOT has mobilized all available state assets, along with the Florida Department of Agriculture, Florida National Guard, Florida State Guard, and Florida Highway Patrol. We have mobilized a 24/7 operation with our state resources, our state equipment, and our employees to try to remove as much debris from the coastal areas as we possibly can before Hurricane Milton makes landfall. This is a very important mission. I'm really glad that Governor DeSantis directed us to do this. It's important that we get as much debris removed as possible, and we fully expect our local partners, local municipalities and counties to instate that 24/7 operation as well. And we also expect all of the debris contractors and vendors to show up with all available resources to remove the debris that is still sitting out there from Hurricane Helene. This is an important mission. It's time for all of us to band together and remove as much debris as we possibly can leading up to the impact of Hurricane Milton. We're going to continue this operation until it's no longer safe to do so. And even at FDOT, we have employees who live near or within the projected cone of impact, and they are out there working right now picking up debris. I'm asking you, please join them alongside them to remove as much debris as we possibly can. Landfill sites, nobody should be turning away people bringing debris to landfills. It is absolutely important. You heard the governor's message. You heard Kevin Guthrie. Landfills should be open and receiving debris 24/7 until Hurricane Milton makes landfall. As we prepare for Milton to impact the state of Florida, one of our primary missions is supporting and facilitating evacuations. You heard Governor DeSantis and Kevin Guthrie talk about evacuations. Please do not wait till the last minute to leave. It can be very dangerous to drive in heavy rain and high winds. A lot of things can happen. Unfortunately, every storm, we always have some traffic fatalities. A lot of that is due because people wait till the very last minute to evacuate. Please leave as soon as you can. When we facilitate evacuations, we use a tool known as emergency shoulder use. We've used this for Hurricane Irma evacuations. If you remember, that was the biggest evacuation in Florida's history. We also use it for Hurricane Ian. It's very successful. We have a partnership with Florida Highway Patrol. As soon as congestion gets to a place where travel speeds are down around 40 miles per hour, we work with the Florida Highway Patrol to open the shoulders of the interstate for travel to relieve congestion. This has been a very successful tool. We've used it for multiple storms. We are currently preparing our shoulders for that, for Hurricane Milton impact. We will be watching traffic with our regional traffic management centers. We have 10 statewide. They operate 24/7. We will be increasing Road Ranger Service Patrol and motorist aid to provide motorists who are in need of help or broke down or vehicles may be stuck in travelway to remove them quickly and keep traffic flowing. Based upon the projected path and forecast of Hurricane Milton, we're expecting a lot of rain before the storm comes in and then strong winds after that. This traditionally can create a lot of vegetative debris. So we're beginning to stage our resources, our equipment, and our manpower within the impact area of the storm so that we can come in immediately and clear roads and cut and toss vegetative debris out of the road to support that life safety mission. Also, with a storm of this magnitude and this much rain, we're watching our bridges and low-lying roads in coastal areas and also our bridges and low-lying areas inland that cross rivers, creeks, and streams. We have bridge inspectors and damage assessment teams ready to deploy so we can inspect bridges, inspect roadways immediately after the storm passes through, affect any temporary repairs that are needed, and get people moving again as quickly as possible. I'm really proud of our nearly 2,000 FDOT team members who have been activated and working around the clock since we started preparing for Hurricane Helene. We're still committed. We're going to be there through this storm. We have a great partner in the Division of Emergency Management with Kevin Guthrie and all of our state partners who are part of the emergency response. We're going to get this done. We're going to be prepared. I encourage all of you, FL 511 is the place to get traffic information, detour information, road closures. During an emergency, FL511.com is the most reliable source of information if you're looking to go somewhere. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks. So when you're dealing with a storm that's potentially a major hurricane, particularly in areas that are very sensitive to storm surge, just know that the surge is going to be the primary threat to your life and your safety. I'm not saying that you should want to hunker down if there's with major wind speeds, if we had Cat 3, Cat 4, but in Florida, a lot of the buildings can handle it, particularly new. You could potentially do that. The surge is just overwhelming. It's like trying to fight Mother Nature in a way that you're just not going to be able to win. And we saw that with Helene, places in like Horseshoe Beach that survived with almost no damage in Idalia, which was almost it hit category 4, then went down to 3 before it made landfall. And then Helene wiped it out because of the surge. There was just more storm surge. And some of these places were just obliterated. So you're looking at potential major storm surge up and down the west coast of Florida. And yes, if the storm, the eye of the storm goes in the southern part of the Western Peninsula, you will no doubt have less surge north of that than you would if that was the eye wall or if the eye wall was north of where you're at. That's just the way these storms work. But we don't have a way to know definitively at this point where on that peninsula the storm's going to make landfall. So you have time now to do what you need to do. If you're in one of those areas that can get whacked by this storm surge, to make the decision to make sure you can be safe when the storm does come. As Kevin and Jared both said, I mean, people sometimes wait, and then when you wait till the very end, you get caught on the roads. You could have hazardous conditions. You have today, clearly you have tomorrow for sure. Probably you'll have some time Tuesday, but I think it will start to get more crowded. I think it'll start to become something that presents some risks of its own. And then just finally on evacuations, if you are in one of those areas, you don't have to get on the interstate and drive 200 miles. Anywhere you go inland or any place that's not going to be a threat for the storm surge, you can hunker down there and then go back when the storm passes. Now, there will be a lot of shelters that are open. I don't know if anyone's opened them yet. I don't think so, but that will happen as we get close. There's also going to be shelters open in other parts of the state where they may not be getting an impact if there's demand for that. I know Kevin's talked to people in the Panhandle. Some of those counties may do that. So you're going to have a lot of options on this, but those people in those sensitive areas, and you could potentially have some major storm surge. I think a lot of people that just lived through Helene, seeing 4, 5, 6 feet in some of those places in the Florida Peninsula on the West Coast, that was major. That caused a lot of damage. This potentially can be more in some of those areas. And so make sure you're taking appropriate precautions. Okay.
After your conversation with the FEMA administrators today, how confident are you that FEMA will be ready to help handle what this storm with? It's still working with them.
Well, so we do the request for the pre-landfall. Has that been approved yet? It will be. I mean, I have every time we've asked, we've gotten approval. So I fully anticipate that will get approved. And then I think, unfortunately, because I think that we are going to have significant impacts, the approval for things like individual assistance, all that, we're going to qualify for all that. And so I don't have any question about that. That's going to happen. I think some of the controversy with FEMA in some of the other parts of the country was about, the rescue mission, some of this stuff and all that. But we have our assets ready for that. And, we do have some of these urban search and rescue teams that are by and large local folks in Jacksonville, Miami, who will be ready to go. I know they are sending some people from other parts of the country. There's a lot of people in North Carolina and Tennessee right now, but I'm confident we'll be approved for that pre-landfall declaration. So I anticipate it. Yes.
Director Kevin Guthrie, you mentioned that this was going to be the largest evacuation since 2017. Do you have a number, or like an estimate of how many people you're expecting to evacuate? I know that Secretary Perdue, you just said that you're preparing to open the shoulders. So I didn't know if you had like a number.
Well, I think I could take that. So, these are obviously local decisions about evacuation, but you have a storm where the range of possibilities are basically the entire Florida Peninsula on the Gulf Coast. The storm's going to be powerful enough to potentially generate major storm surge. So I would anticipate anybody in like barrier islands or those low-lying areas are probably going to have an evacuation order. Now, Hurricane Irma was one where a lot of people evacuated out of southeast Florida. And then the storm ended up being on the west coast of Florida. So there was a lot that was going on with that. But this one is going to be that entire coast. Certainly, when you start talking about, I've spoken with local folks from Lee. They're going to be doing something. Sarasota, Hillsborough, all that stuff. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. And as I mentioned in my initial remarks, if the storm is, say, heading to Tampa Bay, and then 24 hours before landfall, it toggles south and hits someplace like Sarasota, you may not have catastrophic impact in Hillsborough, Pasco, or some of those, because you'd be on the cleaner side of the storm. Likely will suck water out of the bay, but you don't have a way of knowing that until it actually happens. And these things they can move. Helene moved. Remember, we were here in Tallahassee anticipating this to be potentially even west side of Leon County, probably 36 hours before the storm. And that was a very good forecast. Don't get me wrong. They did a really good job on that, but that's just what we're dealing with here. So you're going to end up having people who will evacuate, who will end up probably not having major impacts based on whatever path the storm takes. That doesn't mean it was the wrong thing to do. It just means there's a lot of uncertainty here, and you don't want to wait until the very end. And I would also just, this is a different track than what Ian was, but on Sunday, we were here in the EOC on Sunday, and they were anticipating a Big Bend, the landfall, on Sunday morning. And I think Ian was a Wednesday, right? And then Ian ended up hitting in Sanibel down there in Southwest Florida. And I do think because the forecast had it up there were some people in Southwest Florida who decided, hey, well, I can ride this out, right? Well, it turns out, you had major impacts there, some of the worst we've ever seen with the surge. So we're just dealing with a wide range of possibilities, certainty that we're going to have major impacts, but where you could do. So I think the reason why the evacuation, once those orders come down from all the counties, I think it's going to be a significant number of people because of that uncertainty. Now, I would also say we have stressed in more recent years that you don't need to get on the interstate and drive 200 miles. You don't have to outrun the storm and evacuate to where you're going to have no impacts. It is perfectly fine if you're on a barrier island to go inland. Maybe you have friends, maybe you have family, maybe you have the means to do a hotel. Maybe you go to one of the shelters when they're open, you ride out the storm and go. This storm is going to be powerful, but if you have one of these schools where the shelter's open, that could handle a major hurricane in terms of the wind. And so that is totally fine. And for many people, that's going to be preferable to do than to get on. We've seen examples of a lot of people rushing the roadways. I remember in Texas 10, 15 years ago, just a major gridlock, and it was hot. So there's you can evacuate tens of miles. It does not have to be hundreds of miles. Now, people are also free to do. I know I've spoken with people up here in Tallahassee that have family that are going to come stay with them who are in further south on the west coast of Florida, and that's fine. I mean, no one's saying you can't do it, but don't feel like you have to do it. Don't think that if there's an evacuation notice, that means I got to look at the cone and drive to where I get far outside the cone. It's not really what's necessary for an evacuation. Yep.
Hurricane Helene in St. Petersburg in particular, there were a lot of issues with sewage. Is the state doing anything ahead of time to prepare for that same threat, or staging people for after?
Well, those are municipal functions, and so those are not things. The sewer system's not something that we do. I would assume that some of these local governments and municipal governments are attuned to that. Now, we have assisted when we've had requests in the past to help. I know we did that after Hurricane Ian. But my sense is that that'll be driven locally, and I don't think we've had any requests on that, or have we?
So we have 4 1-megawatt generators running wastewater sewage plants right now in the Pinellas.
Okay, yeah, after Helene, yeah. For power generation, yeah. But in terms of like managing the sewer system, that is a municipal or county function, and so that's something that they're going to take the lead on. Okay, well, everybody. Just stay tuned to what's going on. We're gonna have something pretty big. I think is very likely. Exactly where and at what time remains to be seen. But you have the ability to execute your plan now.
All right, y'all. I just wanted to show that in case we have any people who are in Florida or have any family down there who may need that information. That's what we do here. We are all about providing the information and being of service to the YouTube family. What do you say? Y'all still talking about that 2025. He is not going to implement that. I mean, y'all act like you ain't never supposed to listen to anybody you don't agree with. Don't listen to nothing they got to say about nothing. But you supposed to know you don't agree with them, even though you ain't listening to nothing they had to say. Gotta love it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys and all of your support. That was one of the things that Donald Trump did talk about in his address to the voters in Wisconsin was the current or the response to our current natural disaster, Hurricane Helene, and how it is unsatisfactory at best. We also talked about where allegedly the funds that were earmarked for FEMA went. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, it's not. But that's all people want. That's all they got to hang their hat on. Then that's what it is, Rick. But welcome. He did, MC. He said it multiple times on multiple platforms, including the debate. So I don't get it. But again, if that's all you're working on, as far as your rationale for stuff, then that's where the conversation is gonna stop for a lot of people. Tomorrow is October 7th. As y'all know, October 7th of last year was when yeah, they be trolling. But again, even for the trolls, we put the information out, and it may come a point in time where something sticks and they no longer troll. So we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We invite the trolls to come and get access, to information either through us or whoever we're watching at the time. Donald Trump has said no more days off until after the election. Apparently, he mean that. Because he is going to be at a commemoration for October 7th. That's going to be tomorrow. Haven't really nailed down a time for that, but we'll have that. He's going to be in Detroit on Tuesday. No, I'm sorry. Let me start over. What's going on, Smoking Talk? How you doing? You in our prayers. Y'all in our prayers. Let me know if you need anything. Y'all my peoples, but definitely let me know if y'all need anything. Okay, so yeah, we had today. Trump is taking place in the October 7th event tomorrow. Trump is doing a roundtable with the Latino community on Tuesday. Vance is going to be in Detroit. Hopefully we can take a look at both of those. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, he is hitting Pennsylvania once again. He's going to Scranton and Reading. Don't know what's happening Thursday yet. Or Friday, but that'll be updated shortly. So we will be there. If he there, we gonna be there. Y'all know what our vice president. I just I have to continue to scroll YouTube, see what's going on, because there's never anything on the website about what's going to be happening. But I will be showing her as well. Even though y'all say y'all don't want to see it, we can't just show one side. We gotta show everybody. So that's what we're gonna do. Smoking Talk is actually in Baltimore. Yeah, they recently had a major loss, so we definitely want to keep them in our prayers. What's going on? Remy, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. Yeah, it was cool. Like I said, a lot of talk about, Hurricane Helene. He talked a great deal about the rally they had yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania. For anybody who hasn't seen that, that is available on the channel. Be part of the replay gang and check that out. It was really, really nice. Really, really nice. We talked about what he's going to do to get the economy back on track, as usual. Just pretty much laid out his plan. But yeah, that was the majority of it. So yeah, I definitely hit the like button if you have not. Who are you talking to? Yeah, Kubaloo, definitely go ahead and subscribe to Smoke and Talk. They're my peoples. Yeah, definitely subscribe. That goes for everybody. But yeah, so we will be back tomorrow. For my day ones, those who've been around for the long haul, y'all know normally we have Shaking My Head Sunday. We probably will have that tonight and take a look at Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida when he was interviewed by the Breakfast Club. I've been promising y'all that. So we probably won't get into that later on tonight. So definitely make sure you have your notifications on. Grab your popcorn, grab your soda, grab your beer, whatever you're gonna need, because that interview was a doozy. It was a doozy. So yeah, we need to take a look at that in Reset Coalition style fashion, so we can get to the bottom of what the problem is. Yeah, MC, yeah, because that's the last thing these people need is another hurricane. Seriously. Especially with FEMA being broke. Just shameful. Just shameful. And we out here moving in this manner and want respect from the rest of the world. It don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. We out here moving all kind of janky and trying to demand respect from the rest of the world. It's beyond crazy. Beyond crazy. But all right, y'all, that's what we got going on. We're gonna go ahead and put a bow on this. Again, please hit the like button if you have not. Make sure you have subscribed and have your notifications active. Again, we will be taking a look at Congressman Byron Donalds on the Breakfast Club, because we got to go in. We got to do a deep dive. We got to do a deep dive and see who said what, and if anybody made any relevant points, and are there any opportunities to learn anything. We say it's up to United States citizens to give relief to the rest of our family because most of the National Guard is overseas. You have to ask Derek about that. You have to ask Derek about that, Kubaloo. For real. This is what I'm talking about, Eric. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah, masterful. But he always is. We just got to get him back on the right side. Okay, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Since we are approaching the 6 o'clock hour, I'm gonna let y'all go and check out this last half of football. It really ain't been too much going on the NFL side that has been memorable for this week. But folks, we'll be coming back for halftime shortly. What's on locals? What y'all talking about? You can tell them if you want to, Derek. That's on you. You came up with that. You got a wrench. Speak freely. Yeah, because we are literally we in the countdown. We in the 7th inning stretch, so to speak, as far as election goes. So we will be giving you all the information that is available. I appreciate you guys, you know what I'm saying, coming day after day, conversation after conversation, fact after fact after fact. Yep, you can definitely you can go to members only for the answer. Definitely, if you want to know. Derek is the merch manager. The merchandise manager. So merchandise will be coming soon. Merchandise will be coming soon. So yeah, we need to decide what time we going deep. I'll give y'all a little bit to see what's going to start, to see what's happening with this football game. What is it? Cowboys and Steelers. Hey, Take Heed, how you doing? Yeah, that's the nighttime game, right? So yeah, we might have to start this conversation second half. So 10, 15-ish, somewhere around in there. We gonna get the party started. Yep. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, y'all. Y'all here just chit-chatting. So I swear nothing made. Let me see anything. I don't think nothing else major going on, but let me double check. Yeah, he's still talking about that booger sugar in the White House belonged to the vice president allegedly. They still talking about that. It's not, but anyway. Let me see. We saw Joe yesterday embarrass himself. Just shameful. Couldn't wait to jump up on the camera. Hold up. Fox had an interview. Tim Walz did an interview with Fox. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Take heed. We saw the whole teleprompter debacle yesterday. Child, yeah. Foolishness. Y'all hang on. Let's see what's going on with this interview with Tim Walz. Let me see who we got on here. My boy. Y'all know Devore Dawkins. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Dude is phenomenal. Hang on. We're gonna see what he's talking about real quick because he be having that tea.
66% of Americans we talked to said that buying groceries is a, quote, major problem for them. Double the amount of people surveyed say that Biden-Harris policies have hurt them rather than help them and their families economically. That's in stark contrast to how they feel when asked about the Trump administration. So what would a Harris-Walz administration do different than a Biden-Harris administration because their perception is that it's not?
Governor Tim Walz crashes and burns during his interview with Shannon Bream from Fox News Sunday. You would think after that disastrous VP debate with JD Vance, he would have learned something, but apparently not, because when she started to press him on essential questions that were really softball, this guy continued to lie, fumbled all over the place, and truly embarrassed the Democratic Party. So what we're going to do is take a look at some of these clips, starting with probably the biggest issue coming out of the state of Minnesota, the abortion policy. Watch.
I want to talk about abortion, too, because this came up at the debate. It's been a winning argument for Democrats on many ballots, but I want to clarify what the law is there in Minnesota. Abortion Finder, a website that helps women find access, says abortion is legal throughout pregnancy in Minnesota. There is no ban or limit on abortion in Minnesota based on how far along in a pregnancy you are. You signed the bill that makes it legal through all 9 months. Is that a position you think Democrats should advocate for now?
Whoa. Because now, wait a minute, y'all. Don't y'all remember on the debate when Vance said that and he was like, that ain't true. That ain't what I signed. Wait a minute, sir. Because now here this lady just said the same thing. And went to your website and confirmed what JD Vance said. Lie much, Tim? Lie much? Okay. Let me, because y'all, Devore be bringing them facts. Let me, brother, yeah. If y'all have not subscribed, please do. Please do. Because he working hard. He bringing the information. Come on.
Look, the vice president and I have been clear. The restoration of Roe versus Wade is what we're asking for.
But that law goes far beyond Roe v. Wade.
To make her own. The law is very clear. It does not change that. That was been debunked on every occasion.
But wait. Let's agree. What you signed is there's not a single limit through 9 months of pregnancy. Roe had a trimester framework that did have limits through the pregnancy. The Minnesota law does not have that.
This puts this puts the decision with the woman and her healthcare providers. The situation we have is when you don't have the ability of healthcare providers to provide that, that's where you end up with a situation like Amanda Zaworski in Texas, where they are afraid to do what's necessary. This doesn't change anything. It puts the decision back on to the woman, to the physicians. And we know that this is simply something to be brought up to be very clear. Donald Trump's asking for a nationwide abortion ban. And again, we don't see this as a winning campaign.
He has said repeatedly that he will not sign a national abortion ban. Are you calling that just, it's a flat out lie?
Yes, of course. And Senator Vance has in the past said so too.
This is just a terrible response, right? Which is you have no restrictions in your state. In fact, your policy in your state goes beyond whatever we had with Roe v. Wade. So let's get that clear on the record, because if you recall during the VP debate, he tried to lie about this. In fact, he did.
He did.
And if you recall with the Trump versus Kamala Harris debate, he also pressed her on, hey, do you agree with abortion in the 3rd trimester, in the 7th, 8th, 9th month? And she said it wasn't true.
I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the question with your
because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question with your veto.
you could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
So clearly, the people that have been
okay, what did y'all just hear? Because what I heard was in Minnesota, you could be 9.5 months pregnant and get an abortion. That's what I heard. So what y'all talking about? All this no, and that's not what it is. And if Roe v. Wade had a trimester framework where you can't go past a certain point, then in fact what he got going on in Minnesota is far beyond anything that Roe v. Wade was even put in place for. What you say, Green Dog? The women who get abortions after 6 weeks want their baby. The law is there to protect the woman when there are complications. That's not no, because at that point, wait a minute, jeopardize the health of the woman or the baby. Well, if you're gonna kill the baby, then the baby health don't matter. Y'all need to stop playing. Stop playing. When the problems jump off, that baby either alive or it ain't. Yeah, Eric. Trump, he did mention Virginia with that foolishness. So y'all need to make up your mind. Because if you pregnant and your baby die in utero and then you start having complications, that's not an abortion. You carrying that baby and let's say, you know what I'm saying, your placenta detach or something like that, take the baby out. You can take the baby out and the baby can live, depending on how far along you are. You ain't just got to take the baby out and throw it in the damn grinder. Y'all can cut the bullshit, okay? Stop playing. It is not an abortion. If that baby is not alive, it's not an abortion. We're going to stop that. That's not what that is. What you say? That is what I said the other day. There are 2 peas in the pod. Hey, listen. Yeah, but you doing too much. So you basically can show up 8 months pregnant with that baby moving, starting to turn, getting ready, you know what I'm saying, for delivery, and go in there and get induced and have them pull it out, because they're going to use some forceps, and pull it out, and then that's going to be the end. That's red room. I don't care what y'all talking about. You right though, Millie. Yeah, don't you right? Don't make no sense. And then my thing is how you leave your house pregnant and come back and ain't got no baby and ain't nobody supposed to ask you no questions. Try that over here and see what happens. Because it's gonna need to be a puddle. It's gonna need to be a trail of blood. It's gonna need to be something for your story to be making sense about why you coming back and ain't pregnant no more. It ain't no baby. What? Rebel without a clue. People who are against abortion should be legally required to adopt orphans. What the hell that got to do with anything? Maybe some people who are against abortion are for not putting yourself in that position. What you say, MC? If that baby has a heartbeat, you are already on a red run program. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Y'all need to quit playing. Quit playing. Because I've you know what I'm saying, met women who, you know what I'm saying, were pregnant and you know what I'm saying, through some kind of, you know, deformity or something. Like one lady I worked with, her baby's heart didn't develop. So that baby there was no way that baby was gonna live. She carried that baby. If the baby died and it's removed, isn't that no, because the baby's already dead. If the baby died and it's removed, isn't murder. But if it's well and you snatch it out, that exactly what that is. Yeah, y'all gonna stop playing. Yeah, she carried that baby and donated that baby, and they induced her and she donated that baby's organs. So y'all gonna stop playing. Exactly. It's movies about, you know what I'm saying, people who find themselves in them type of situations. They ain't running to the clinic, so what's wrong with y'all? We ain't doing this. Then in 10, 15 years, when you finally decided, you know what I'm saying, you got time and this what you want to do, now your womb don't work and you up in here crying. Don't call me. I'm here to let you know. Don't call me. You doctors get kickbacks. Yeah. Well, there has been some chatter about Planned Parenthood getting kickbacks from, you know what I'm saying, the tissues and the organs and all that kind of stuff from the babies. So I mean, there's been chatter about that for quite a while. So it could be true. But I'm just saying, I personally wouldn't be having that I wouldn't be having that on my resume, because you got the answer for that. Y'all sitting up here playing. You got the answer for that. You mess around and close your eyes and take that last breath and be in line up there trying to get through them pearly gates, and God pull out your dossier and be like, "Ooh, no, you can't come through here." And you talking about some why? And he like, aside from all the other stuff you did, what about these 6,000 abortions you performed? Let's talk about that. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying, society said, and you know what I'm saying, my body, my choice, and it's a woman's right, and woo, 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 woo. And he like, but I didn't tell you to do none of that. So yeah, you can't come through here. Now what y'all gonna do? Now what? Thank you, MC. I like you too. What you say that chick's death was on her? Talk about. Yeah, and my thing is, Kamala, if you supposed to be a woman, and Oprah, we know you a damn shepherd for the damn devil. Y'all supposed to be women and have compassion and all of this. Why in the hell would y'all even, you know what I'm saying, have that child, please, have that woman, Obama, and her sisters up there? And I was like, what? Because y'all, we was watching it. What's the first thing I said? Where her daddy? First thing I said, where her daddy? Y'all need to quit playing. Because one thing you never see with these, you know what I'm saying, hear me roar, I'm equal to a man, we can have it all ass broads. Don't none of them have it all. They be steady trying to tell you how to get it all, but they all got something missing. So in Oprah's case, she got the money, she got the career, she kind of got a man, but she ain't got no kids, she ain't got no marriage, she ain't got no family, she ain't got no legacy to leave. Then sitting up there with Kamala ass, she ain't got no kids. Then you got the girl mama up there, she ain't got no husband, no intact family, bloodline scattered all over the damn place. Y'all need to quit. It's too early for this. Y'all need to quit playing. I'm just saying, quit playing. Quit playing. Yeah, messing around with Vivica Fox. She up here, you know what I'm saying? She ain't got no husband, no kids, no legacy to leave. She's still crying about 50 Cent. 50 done been went on with his life. This is what happened when you don't know when to shut the hell up. What you say, man? When I was in school, they showed movies about abortion that weren't necessary. They actually showed. Yeah, girl, listen. I'm telling you. I went with a friend of mine when I was in college. And child, I've been trying to repent because when I get up there, I got to try to explain to the Lord why I was there. Listen, yeah, and you awake? Because now keep in mind, this sedation situation has only been like the last decade or so. You in there in your full mind, completely conscious going through that? Yeah, Millie, hell to the no. I'm good. I don't need that. I am not a fan. Y'all go ahead and work that out. Well, let's finish this up. We got this. Yeah, we got the road. The board talk about. Yeah, but Governor, I need you to just stay from in front of a camera. It's not for you. Stay from in front of the camera. This ain't what you want, sir. It ain't looking good.
Bunked are Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and these radical Democrats. 14 states allowed no restrictions with abortion. So that is what the facts are. But to come onto this show and say that Donald Trump is lying, that he's not going to issue a national abortion ban after he said repeatedly that he wouldn't do that. This is how crazy and sick these Democrats are. They're just willing to lie to people's faces and not accept any responsibility. And you're going to see a great example of that later in this video when she checks him on all of these misstatements from his history as a politician. Now, let's move to probably a big issue, right? Which is the economy. And don't worry, he didn't use the I grew up in a middle-class family answer, but what he offered wasn't any better.
Our latest polling shows that 66% of Americans we talked to said that buying groceries is a, quote, major problem for them. And when we asked people about how they feel about the policies of this administration versus the previous, double the amount of people surveyed say that Biden-Harris policies have hurt them rather than help them and their families economically. That's in stark contrast to how they feel when asked about the Trump administration. So what would a Harris-Walz administration do different than a Biden-Harris administration when it comes to convincing people that the economy is going to get better for them because their perception is that it's not?
Well, we saw a blockbuster jobs report this week. We saw interest rates come down, and we've also seen that Vice President Harris laying out a middle-class agenda. Look, I was in Ohio yesterday, in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, and talking about this. Folks in Ohio know that Donald Trump's policies led to 180,000 manufacturing jobs leaving. They understand when he left office, we had more people unemployed percentage-wise than the Great Depression. What Vice President Harris is talking about is making it more affordable to buy housing. And we've seen it in Minneapolis. When you have more housing stock, we've seen rates go down. We've seen more houses available. Also, the idea of price gouging. 37 states, Republican and Democratic states, have this.
Who is price gouging?
Corn is about $4.10 or so a bushel. That's where it's been for many years, up and down. But prices at the grocery stores have skyrocketed, corporate profits have skyrocketed, and people are paying more. So we talk about that.
So did he just admit what we all have been saying, that the policies from the last 3.5 years have caused record inflation. Everything is costing more money, and it's due to the policies from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I find it funny that he admits it without knowing that that's what he's doing. So that's interesting. The other thing is about the fact that he's claiming that Ohio knows that Donald Trump lost over 100,000 manufacturing jobs. If that's the case, Governor Tim Walz, then why is Donald Trump so ahead? He's blowing her out of the water in Ohio. If people knew that about Donald Trump and knew that he's not the solution, why is his poll number so high in that state? And then, of course, he's going to try to use the whole price gouging messaging to kind of hook people into thinking that, yeah, we're going to come in and we're going to lower prices by implementing price gouging. Okay, so let me be clear on this. You're basically saying that if you stop price gouging, that will lower costs all across the board. People, we're not that stupid, but they do expect people to be that stupid because they think.
Okay, right. Hang on, D. Okay, so with the price gouging, has anybody that's watching this put a 1 in the chat if you have seen clear cut price gouging? Like, let's be for real. If you have a product and you got to get your product to the people, and let's just say in the grocery realm, you produce eggs. We done had bird flu 2 or 3 times. You can't find truckers to come get the eggs and get them to where they need to be. And when you do find somebody, their rate is more than what you want to pay, but you got to get these eggs out of here. So you got to go through all of that. So let's say with them eggs change hands 3 times. Each person having that same situation. So we as the consumer got to absorb that cost. That ain't price gouging. That's called your policies got the transportation game jacked up. So we paying the price. That's what that's called. That's not price gouging. It's supply and demand. If the demand is high and the supply is low, the price is gonna increase. So if I got merchandise I'm trying to get into the store and I need truck drivers and truck drivers is scarce, I'm gonna have to pay a little more than what I anticipated to get somebody to take these. This makes sense to you, Eric? Let's say I got 50 tumblers here and I have to give these to these customers. And when I quoted them the price, I was figuring that gas was gonna be about $2 a gallon. But then when you get here to pick the stuff up, you like, well, I mean, gas is about $4.25 a gallon. Okay, so we're going from $2 to $4.25. That's not price gouging. That's, me having to pay for what stuff costs now for me to do what I need to do. So I'm gonna have to pay you your rate of this $4.25 a gallon on this gas for you to get my merchandise to the shelf. That ain't price gouging. We're gonna try that again. So again, where's all this price gouging going on? I know cognitive dissonance. I know that's not price gouging, but that's what they're trying to convince you price gouging is. Yeah, they're trying to convince you that's what price gouging is. No, I wouldn't have to pay this rate if gas wasn't this high. Gas is this high because of what you got going on. I would have to pay this rate if the trucker wasn't charging me this much per mile, but he's charging me this much per mile because he know if I don't pay it, somebody else will because he's the only one coming. That ain't price gouging. But he the only one coming because of regulations you put into place. So that's not price gouging. But that's what they're trying to convince you price gouging is. No, if a can of beans was 88 cents in 2018, it's $2.68 now. It hell, if it costs 3 times as much for that truck to bring them beans now than it did back then, that's some of where that 268 came from. It's not like, you know what I'm saying, production is the same amount and the price just went up. If everything from putting the seed into the ground to you picking it off the shelf went up, that ain't price gouging. That's bad management.
Saying things like this will get people to come out and vote for them because they know they're not going to do any research. Now, you know, Tim Walz is going to try to show off his state and use it as a way to get votes. But let me give you guys some numbers. They rank number 22 in crime, 26 when it comes to the economy, 17 when it comes to education, 16 when it comes to healthcare, even though he keeps saying that Minnesota is the best state for healthcare. Okay. Number 9 when it comes to infrastructure. Number 2 when it comes to natural environment, which geographically makes sense. And then number 12 when it comes to opportunity. So at the end of the day, I don't think, and you, I'm sure, won't think that Minnesota is the best state, even though he keeps trying to claim that. And if you didn't hear that, wait till you hear this clip.
I want to talk a little bit about your record as governor, because
that's not price gouging because they changed the amount. Any change in what you're purchasing nullifies the price gouging. Price gouging, it's got to be the same across the board. And then there's a substantial change in price. But if you like Gatorade took, 4 ounces of product out their bottle, redesigned the bottle and put it on the shelf, and now they're charging 25 to 30 cents more. That ain't price gouging because they took liquid out and changed the package. That's rebranding. That's what. So yeah, you can't. That wouldn't be price gouging. But let's finish this up.
Elucidates for people how you may serve is whether you end up being the president. You'll be one heartbeat away should your ticket be successful. Wall Street Journal says this after you were chosen to join the ticket. As the Democratic governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz signed into law initiatives allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's licenses, qualify for free tuition at state universities, and enroll in the state's free healthcare program for low-income residents. Are those not magnets to draw people here, many times on dangerous journeys for themselves? And why should your taxpayers in Minnesota or across the states pay for those programs?
Well, that's not the vice president's position, but I will say this. Minnesota ranks as a top 5 business state. We rank as a top 3 state for children living, and we're the top state for healthcare access. I would also add this. We also have some of the safest roads. Look, the vice president has made it clear that she has policies that make a difference. Her border policies are the most strongest, the fairest we've seen. It's
but now, Governor, you know, a lot of people, including your own party, would not join that statement. There are millions of people who have come here over the last few years that, you know, they see this as an open border.
Well, simply, we have a policy. Donald Trump sees it as a political. Look, James Langford in Oklahoma, the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal, the Chamber of Commerce, all said pass this legislation. You have to have Congress to authorize 1,500 new border agents. You have to have Congress to authorize DOJ to speed adjudications on these asylum claims. Those are things that would actually work.
You're right. Those are things that would actually work. The problem, though, is that she invited pretty much millions of illegal migrants to cross the border. So you could keep trying to use this border bill to tell people that, yeah, you can't trust Donald Trump when it comes to the border. But the numbers say otherwise. The record says otherwise. You guys waited till 2024 to try to push a bill through, and it didn't work. What did you do in 2023? What did you do in 2022? And what did you do in 2021? Oh, yeah, that's right. You didn't do anything.
I can answer that for you, Devorah. What they did was they kept recycling the same bill, but refused to take out the funding for Israel and Ukraine, they just would change what page they put the funding on in hopes that somebody wasn't going to read the whole thing and find it. That's what they've been doing. So yeah, they just for the time that Kamala keep wanting to talk about where Donald Trump, who ain't get a vote nowhere in that, shut the whole thing down. The funding was on the last page in the third paragraph. So then the next time you put it on like page 236, thinking somebody wasn't gonna read it, got busted. Then the next time you put it on page like 95, somebody still found it. So this is what they've been doing. They just been moving that paragraph to different pages in hopes that somebody ain't gonna find it.
Anything. She does not have a strong record when it comes to the border. She does not have a strong border security policy. We are not that stupid. They will lie to your face. They won't even make sure that what they're saying is rooted in some level of reality, like some level of truth. No, it's just a flat out lie from these people. And Tim Walz, I guess he didn't learn from his VP debate because he still can't seem to tell the truth. He still can't seem to put his ideas together in a very articulate way. And he's doing a poor job of really pushing back, in my opinion. Now, if you're getting value from this video, make sure you do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah,
if you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below. You can grab yourself a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing right here, or you could buy us a cup of coffee. Now, I saved the best for last, which is probably the biggest problem we have with Tim Walz ever since he was announced as the running mate for Kamala Harris. And that is this habit that he has when it comes to lying about his record, whether it's military record or what's happened with his family or some trips that he has taken in the past. I mean, you just can't get this guy to truly tell the truth. And what does he say in the end? Oh, well, I just misspoke. I'm a knucklehead. That's not going to cut it anymore. You might just be the commander-in-chief one day. So we have a high standard for stuff like that. So let's hear his disastrous response to exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Listen, before we go, because I wish that we had a full hour, I want to give you a chance because you called yourself a knucklehead this week to talk about some of your misstatements. Yes. You've modified your story or explained that you misspoke about things involving your military rank, about carrying a weapon in war, your 1995 DUI arrest, using IVF to have your beautiful children, Gus and Hope, being in Hong Kong and China in the summer of 1989 during the Tiananmen events. A lot of people would say they couldn't get away with saying, I'm just too passionate, my grammar's not right, I'm a knucklehead. What do you say to the American people who think, I don't know that I can trust this guy with all those modifications to be the potential commander-in-chief of this country?
Yeah, well, I think they heard me. They heard me the other night speaking passionately about gun violence and misspeaking. And I got to be honest with you, Shannon, I don't think people care whether I used IUI or IVF when we talk about this. What they understand is Donald Trump would resist those things. Look, I speak passionately. I had an entire career, decades before I was in public office. They know, and I'm very proud of my 24 years in service and my record. I have never disparaged someone else in this, but I know that's not what Donald Trump does. They disparage everyone. The personal attacks. I will own up when I misspeak. I will own up when I make a mistake.
Yeah, you already know what he was going to say. People know who I am. They know my record. I have people who voted me into office, so whatever I said in the past doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that I lied about my rank in service. It doesn't matter that I said that I carried war or weapons in war. It doesn't matter that I lied about this deadly protest in China. I think you guys are getting my point, right? He's a liar, okay? So here's my final things, okay? Obviously, the campaign's trying to go into overdrive right now and do as many interviews as possible. It's already been reported that every day this coming week, Kamala Harris will be involved in some type of interview that will come out. So we definitely look forward to checking those things out. And so they're finally putting Tim Walz out as well. But the problem is they've waited too long. So their muscles, right, their ability to articulate and practice handling tough questions is very weak. And by the way, this interview was soft, okay? So Shannon Bream from Fox News Sunday, she barely any pushback. Now, you can critique her on that. That's fine, whatever. But these candidates are so weak that a softball interview they mess up on. That's how crazy it is. But this is who people want to vote for. They want to vote for someone like Tim Walz, that's my opinion. What do you guys think about this interview? What grade would you give Tim Walz and his responses? Do you agree with anything that he said? I'm sure you don't, but let me know what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video.
All right. Thank you, Devorah. I appreciate that. Always with great information. Like I said, guys, definitely follow him if you are not. Yeah, it is 6:30. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But yeah, y'all, I'm telling you, the information is here for you to get if you want it. Research is always a good thing. Just saying, y'all. This is what you're working with. This is what you're working with. All right, y'all. Again, make sure you have hit the like button if you have not. Subscribe if you have not. We will be back later on this evening, so make sure your notifications are active. For those of y'all who have just found this video or were late, definitely become part of the replay gang so that you can get all of the information. Y'all, again, this what we're working with. This is what we working with. This is what we working with. All right, some like it, some love it, some can't stand it. But, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just be able to explain your opinion. If somebody asks you, that's all we asking for. But again, I will see y'all a little bit later on. Enjoy your evening, and I will see y'all on the flip side. Take care. Bye.